Welcome to DAX Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Good evening, folks, and thank you for joining us on another edition of DAX Machina. Joining me tonight is Robbie Rip Rains, missing his cowboy hat this evening. Anthony is having some technical difficulties with his internet, so he may be popping in shortly. And we haven't heard back from Doc tonight, so I don't know if we'll have a Doc sighting or not. But for the moment, it's just me and Robbie. Robbie, how the heck are you, brother?
Doing good, brother. How are you?
Oh, live and kicking so far, but it's early.
Yeah, it's a little early.
Want to thank everybody for the prayers. The shots I had to get in my lower back yesterday went well. It's part of a 3-part series, which will hopefully be very beneficial. I don't want to go into a lot of details because it's just kind of boring. But if all 3 series go as well, it can be really, really good for me. So appreciate those prayers, folks. Looks like we have already getting a pretty full house.
Yeah, we're already at 57, it looks like.
And I'm seeing some names I don't even recognize, folks. Yeah. If you're new to the channel, thank you guys for joining us. And hit that like, share, and subscribe button. It helps the channel continue to grow, and we sure appreciate y'all joining us. So, Robbie, we are going to be talking about the infamous Yeti tonight.
The or as Tony Schiavone used to say in WCW, the Yeti.
Yeti.
A little wrestling humor for any wrestling.
Wrestling. It's not wrestling; it's wrestling.
Wrestling.
Hey, country boys in the house. Man, we got a lot of people in here tonight. Yeah. Holy moly. Probably take me 5 minutes to say howdy to everybody, so I probably ought to not go back over.
Just say, hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Thank you guys for being here. So, how much do you know about the Yeti, Robbie?
Well, I know I believe Sir Edmund Hillary is the one that made that trackway pretty famous when he was up climbing in the Himalayas. Is that correct? I know there was a lot of pushback from the English aristocracy, saying that it was a bear or that it was wash out.
Oh, it couldn't possibly exist.
Or it was it was melt and refreeze tracks and
well, I just happen to have that picture, and you being a tracker, I would very much like to get your input on this. Does that look like melt and refreeze to you?
No, it doesn't.
Look how crisp the edges of that track are.
Well, and one of the first things you look for, and you're right about that, the crisp edges, but one of the first things you look for in refreeze is the interior, the inside of the track. You don't see that porous texture if it's a melt and refreeze, because it's going to be smooth, because there's nothing to give it that texture. So it's going to be a lot smoother. So that right off the bat, looking at the center of the track and all these holes that are inside the track there, if it was a melt and refreeze, they wouldn't be there, because all that stuff would be, ice is not going to freeze in a hole in the middle of the track like that. So just right off the bat, there's 3 or 4 things that we just pointed out that scream out to me, no, that's not a refreeze.
Yeah. Now, it's much more difficult to say on the trackway that's shown on the right, but that track on the left is, to me, just is way too crisp to have been, it's not even that old.
No.
I mean, as much wind as you get on those mountainsides, that track couldn't have been more than maybe a few hours old.
Yeah, without seeing it there, I'd say that's a good conservative estimate. Is a lot of people don't realize that wind can actually shift a track depending on which way it's blowing. It can actually, if it's blowing pretty hard to the north, it can shift a track almost up to an inch to the left or the right, depending on how fast and how hard the wind's blowing. So there wasn't a lot of. Usually when that happens, though, too, you'll start seeing whatever side the wind's blowing on, that side of the track will be a little bit lower. Mm-hmm. That looked like everything was nice, and I don't want to use the word symmetrical, because nothing in nature is symmetrical, but it was balanced. One side wasn't lower than the other, so it doesn't scream out that it was out there, 3 or 4 hours in the elements.
Yeah. To me, that looks like a crisp track. Werewolf says, "Is there a picture of the other foot? That's a strange foot." Unfortunately, that's the only picture they showed. Before we get too much further, I wanted to jump in real quick. Meg Mills renewed her Wild Hunt membership to the channel for 9 months. That is awesome. Werewolf 5674 renewed his Wild Hunt he's been renewed for a year. Dude, that is awesome. Thank you, brother. David By has renewed his Nightmare Hunter for 7 months straight. And we got several new subscribers that are popping up on the telemetry over here. So thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. That is awesome. Thank you guys. We appreciate you guys so much.
And like you said, a lot of new faces in the chat.
A lot of new faces. Did you see the comment Smedley made?
No, I must have missed it.
He said, where is it at? Gotta find it. Oh, come on now. Can't find it now. He made a comment about Yeti being cooler than Bigfoot. Yeti coolers.
Yep.
I thought that was pretty funny. Miss Neoma's in the house. Hey, how you doing, Neoma? How are you doing? Well, the thing about the Yeti is it's weird that that so many famous people became involved immediately in the search for the Yeti, but it took years for it to gain that kind of traction on Bigfoot here in the States.
Yeah. Well, when you got somebody like Edmund Hillary attached to it right off the bat, I mean, he was trying to think who would you compare him to nowadays as far as like maybe. I don't know if Bear Grylls would be the right one. He wasn't really a survival. He's more of like just an adventurer.
Yeah, he's kind of he was former SAS, but for someone like
maybe
Edmund
Bear
Hillary,
Grylls would
be I don't know.
He was an avid outdoorsman.
He was pretty well known, and he was a British knight, Sir Edmund Hillary.
Yeah. So I mean, having somebody like that attached to that comes out and says, "Oh, look, I found these tracks."
Right.
Automatically you're going to have people who are going to believe it just based on the fact that it was him that found it versus Robbie or DA. I mean, there's a little bit more weight behind his findings than it would be somebody like me or you.
Yeah, some schmuck from Missouri.
Yeah. And, you hate to say stuff like that or but it's just the way it is. I mean,
yeah.
If Elon Musk went out in the woods and found a Bigfoot track and said, "Oh, look, Bigfoot track," there'd be a lot more people be like, "See, I told you those were real."
Yeah.
just because of his name being attached to it.
Right. Right. And there was another famous hiker at the same time. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. What was his name? Eric Shipton. He was another world famous climber. And he in fact, I think he was the one that photographed that track, not Hillary, but Hillary reported seeing the tracks.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thought Hillary was the one that went into the monastery and was accused or did take what they said was the scalp and the finger bones, correct?
The funny thing about that is how they smuggled that piece of bone out. It was Jimmy Stewart, the actor, and his wife smuggled it out of Nepal by hiding it amongst her underwear in her suitcase. And they opened it up, looked at it, closed it, and didn't search it. So actor Jimmy Stewart actually smuggled that piece of bone out. Now, what happened to it, I don't know, but they smuggled a piece of the alleged Yeti bone out in Jimmy Stewart's wife's underwear.
Hey, Cowboy, how you doing?
Hey, Cowboy, what's up, man?
That the movie was it called the Yeti? Was it called the Beast, or the one that they actually made? It was loosely based on that story.
Yeah, I think
because they actually.
I think it was called the Yeti.
They actually smuggled it out on the train out of Nepal. It was something, but it was based loosely on the story of Hillary finding the tracks and going into the monastery and I think he asked them at first if he could take it out, and they're like, "No, these are sacred holy relics." And then,
and when they were out of the room, they're like, "Yoink!"
which is funny that somebody of his stature would do something like that. But and that lends even more credence to that he thought that there was something to it,
Right?
because if he'd looked at that and thought, it's just a goat skin, like a lot of people said, or it's there's nothing to it.
Mud Sniper brought up a good point I was going to bring up here in just a second. Expedition X, Josh Gates went there, and they found a track that looked a lot like that one.
Mm-hmm. They sure did. That was a really good show, because they went and talked to a bunch of people who were supposedly descendants of all, not like it was that long ago, but were related to some of the people who were there during all that time when all that was going on. So.
And he actually went to the monastery where the rest of those relics are stored.
Yeah.
And they were able to view them, but they couldn't take them out or touch them or something like that.
Yeah, nobody left the room. Yeah, nobody left the room while they were looking at them this time. Apparently, they learned their lesson last time.
Like, nope, you're not getting this one. Corey Cole says, I come in to Jimmy Stewart's wife smuggled a Yeti bone in her underwear. Oh yeah, that's a really weird spot to come in without context.
Yeah. I hear you. Corey, I was here for the whole thing and it was still weird. So I mean,
well, the stories of Yeti are still happening in China today. What was it Josh Gates again that went to that park in China, where they I think it's like called Yeti Park or something like that, where hikers have gone in and just not come out. And we don't get a lot of stories like that out of China. Yeah. It's odd that we actually get a story like that, because China doesn't really talk about that stuff.
Yeah, Josh has been to, pretty much anywhere that has got some kind of thing like that. He's been there and done one of his. He's had like 5 different shows.
He's still got a pretty good one called Expedition. Yeah. What is it?
Expedition X, I think, isn't it?
It may be Expedition X. Yeah, the one where they hunt cryptids.
No, it's Destination X. Is this Expedition Unknown and Destination X? That's
Destination Truth.
Or is it True? I thought that was the older one.
I think it was the older one, but he's had like 5 shows.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with. But all his shows have been good.
I think it's Expedition X that deals with cryptids, though.
And that's the one he's got. Jessica Chobo, I think is how you pronounce her last name. Chobot, and that other guy, I can't think of his name, but he's basically the skeptic, and she's the one that believes in all the stuff, or believes that stuff that could be real, and he sends them out to.
All of that stuff they do on Expedition X, it could just all be for TV. It could all be just made up. However, the one they did on the Ozarks Howler, I thought was really compelling, because it lined up with a lot of the stuff I'd found myself. Speaking of Yeti, this is what my wife got me for my desk for this Christmas. So I got a little desk Yeti that goes right beside my desk Bigfoot.
I got a little desk Yeti too. Oh, different kind of Yeti.
A little cooler. Mine takes up space and yours holds sandwiches.
Among other things.
Well, nothing wrong with that. Nice cold frosty beverage.
But I think they take things a lot different in other countries. Whereas you say you've seen Bigfoot over here, you get laughed at a lot of times.
Right.
You say you've seen a Yaren or a Yeti or something over there, and it's more widely accepted. And you would think, with the kind of stuff that we're able to see, that with the internet and the movies that we get to watch and the things that we're exposed to, you would think it would be more widely accepted in a place like we're at versus over there, where things are a lot more strict. But maybe that's why, because they are so strict and they still believe in a lot of the older, more traditional things. Maybe that's why it's more accepted over there. That's
Country Boy Cryptids just sent me an article The Indian Army claims it found Yeti footprints in the Himalayas. Mount Makalu is the world's 5th highest mountain, and it's located about 12 miles south of Mount Everest. This is from 2019. It says the Indian Army says it discovered footprints in the Himalayas that appear to belong to a Yeti, known in the United States as Bigfoot or the Abominable Snowman, measuring 32 inches by 15 inches. Holy Jesus, that's a big footprint. The footprints were found near Mount Makalu Base Camp on April 9th. Spokesman for the country's defense ministry told NBC News on Tuesday that photographs taken by the Army's mountaineering expedition team had been passed on to the scientific community for verification. The announcement, which referred to the Yeti as a mythical beast, was met with mixed reaction online. Some noticed that the photos appeared to show footprints in a straight line, one behind the other, similar to what be expected from a model. Well, there are some people that have reported Bigfoot tracks like they're in a single line.
Well, some of the tracks that Marty showed on the show that I was on with her the other night, some of those trackways were straight line, or in a straight line like that.
Yeah,
and who knows how smart these things truly are? So,
yeah,
is that a way that they've adapted to? That they see how we track and can kind of reason out
tracks.
That if they walk like that in a straight line in certain places where a track trap like that, where there's no way around it, but they've got to go through it, and they've reasoned out, hey, if we walk like this, there, it's not as common as they think it's actually us. And I'm speaking for Bigfoot, obviously, but. Is that a possibility, or am I reading too much into that?
No, I think that's entirely possible. I mean, especially if they walked single file to obscure their numbers.
Yeah, that's true too.
Oh, looks like hey, there he is. Looks like your internet problem's fixed. Nice.
Yeah, please. Please. Hold on.
Ryan from Monster Radio says, so the Yeti are like Tusken Raiders.
The what?
Tusken Raiders from Star Wars. That's funny.
Yeah, I was going to upload some pictures if I can. Let me see.
I hope they don't make that sound.
Where is it?
K-Talk says, I've heard many researchers who totally believe they walk in a straight line. That's actually, it could be an interesting adaptation. It could be an individual thing, or it could be something that we see species-wide. Interestingly, though, I think considering the similarities between the other species of Bigfoot-type creatures in the Asian continent, makes me wonder if they all might really be the same creature, whether they call it Yeti, Yeren, Alma, or Almasti. I think the Siberian Yeti is probably the same thing. What do you think?
Yeah.
I like to know why Richard wants to know how big my footprints are. I don't know, man. I never really got into the Yeti. I'm sorry, Robbie. Go ahead.
No, I think that, well, and I'd say 90% of where a Yeti would walk is going to be a track trap.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're walking around in the Himalayas, they're walking around in a lot of snow. There's a good chance that they're going to leave footprints wherever they go. But with the I guess the caveat to that is there's not a lot of people up there.
No.
A lot of wind.
Yeah.
So tracks are not going to stay around as long as a track would stay down here if they're walking somewhere in Florida through a big mud patch where it's going to stay for a lot longer. So I guess there's a, the thing is when you're talking at it, the adaptive behavior that we've talked about in the past, can a Yeti afford to be a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit more frivolous with where they walk, because there's not a whole, because of the hostile weather environment, there's not a whole lot of people up there. And occasionally somebody does happen to walk, to climb the mountain and come across some tracks that have not blown away yet or not been covered. And that's why you don't see them quite as much.
Well, you're right about there not being a whole lot of people up there. But, they're also, in that kind of environment, there's literally nothing that can prey on them.
No.
So why would they hide their tracks? They don't care.
Well,
and they're not hunted.
The biggest prey up there is, what is it? They have the snow leopard.
Snow leopard.
Yeah. That's the biggest carnivore, or biggest predator.
And you get down in some of the valleys, they might run into tigers, but
yeah, they're not going to mess with them, I think. Yeah,
I would agree.
A tiger's not going to go after anything that it doesn't feel like it's going to. The risk to reward ratio. If a tiger sees something that it thinks is bigger that it can't take down, it's not going to risk the.
Exactly.
Because if it gets hurt, and that's it. Because tigers are solitary. They're not. It's not like a lion, where if a member gets hurt, you're gonna have the rest of the pack to kind of bring food to you for a little while, or the rest of the pride rather.
Right.
Tigers are solitary, so if they get hurt, then they don't eat.
Right.
That's why
Ryan's got a good point. He says how some scientists figure the Yeti is a bear makes no sense. The name translates to that thing, not that bear. Good point. Steve Payton says Tiger versus Yeti. That'd be interesting. Well, there was one account I was reading from one account I was reading from near the foothills of the Himalayas, where a farmer reported that one basically charged him while he was tending his herd, and then it picked up a yak and ran off with it. How do you pick up a freaking yak and run off with it?
I don't know.
That's not a small animal.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a calf or something, but the article said that I read just basically said it grabbed a yak. It didn't specify how big it was, but it picked one up and took off with it. There was another occasion where a farmer in China heard his daughter screaming and went out and saw one trying to drag his daughter off, and him and his wife basically chased it off with garden implements. But it was trying to drag their daughter off. So these things are still reported. But then again, considering how few reports actually come out of that area, sightings could be way more common there than we realize.
Well, just like they talk about the shark attack files and how accurate they are. They're not accurate or crocodile attacks. I mean, because you got some of these remote areas that never report anything like that happening. So
reports are generally made by survivors.
Yeah. You're generally making a report if you're in something's belly.
Yeah. So if you're down, if we've got people walking along those river banks and or swimming in the ocean and they just go missing,
you can assume. It's like we assume that lady in Hawaii was eaten by a tiger shark, but don't really know for sure. I mean, it's a good assumption.
Yeah, it would make sense. I mean, but then again, there are other things out there that can and will eat you. Yeah. The Pacific octopus gets huge.
Yeah. Well, and not even that, but Forrest Galante actually did a show on that one, and he was like, everybody is going to quickly point out or blame a tiger shark on this because that's, tropical waters. Tiger sharks are found in tropical waters all the time. He said, but the time of year that was, great whites are really abundant off the coast of Hawaii. He said, and the fact that they didn't find anything doesn't lead to it being a tiger shark, because tiger sharks typically leave a lot of mess.
Well, they're not generally big enough to swallow a person.
Right, and that was his next point. He said, but deep blue, which is the largest great white that's ever been filmed, has been seen off the coast of Hawaii around that time, because that's the time that they're in Hawaii. time when she was killed. So it's very possible a 22-foot shark. If it got a hold of her, there's not going to be much left, if anything at all.
Yeah.
So
well, I looked up. I mean, when I was watching when DA, when he said, "Hey, we're going to do this and this on the show," there are a couple of accounts of people that describe these things, and they had a forensic artist draw 2 pictures that blew me away, which I'm going to put up on the page for everybody to see, and you can tell me. I mean, this thing is seen all over the world. So, wrong one. I'm sorry. That was the cooler. No, it was this one. Right there. You guys see it?
Huh.
Yep.
Yeah.
That looks more ape to me.
that looks more like what I saw.
Yeah.
The eyes
Mine
were a little bit
looked
more
like
sunk
that.
in, and it was a darker color. Well, that's why I said darker color. I don't know exactly what color because it was nighttime.
Well,
That looked
that
more
one,
like what I saw.
That's
that
the
one
one
that-
I see.
yeah, the one that this is one of the pictures that Nighthawk sent us, that William Nighthawk sent us. And that looks a lot like the one you just showed, only in brown.
Right. That's like what I seen out in Palm Beach. Not
And the
exact,
first one-
really close.
That was
Now-
more like what I saw.
Now look at this other
But-
one that they did a sketch on in a picture. Ready?
Okay,
They made a mask out of it.
that's pretty freaking creepy.
Yeah.
Looks very lifelike.
It looks like an aged Santa Claus with liver spots to me, but
Yeah. Just before we came on the air, I got an email from Fred Roll. And Fred says, just food for thought, but I've had multiple sightings of white-haired Bigfoot here in Alaska. I'm doing a family function and won't be in the chat tonight, but I wanted to pass that along and also use no. Oh, no, I was just. I'll talk to y'all later, but he said they've had multiple sightings of white-haired Bigfoot in Alaska. There was a white-haired one seen down here in Arkansas.
Well, the other one that was seen around the time I saw mine, and if you go look at that website that we don't name, that other one,
Yeah.
it was a light gray color, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the closest one that I can get to, and I wish I can load that picture up. It was on Facebook.
That one that was captured on that Russian dash cam with people driving down that back road, the one
Yeah.
that crosses in front of them, that one was white and it was moving fast.
I mean, this one looks so much, almost like what I seen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look how similar that is compared to these other ones.
Yeah.
I mean, but the one I seen had a big, thicker beard.
And that's to me, that lends a lot of those drawings and how those are registering so strongly with you guys. That just lends credence to my theory that they might be relic hominids. They might be a relic population of Neanderthal somewhere between pure Neanderthal and us.
Right.
Because there's evidence that Neanderthal interbred with Homo sapiens. They said particularly in, I think it was Mongolia, there's a really high percentage of Neanderthal DNA present in their DNA. But there was also some quite scattered across Europe and even here in the States. So lots of people are carrying around Neanderthal DNA. It just makes you wonder if that might be closer to Neanderthal than it is human, if that makes sense.
Right. The one I seen out in Palm Beach, like I always say, it looked more Native American and Aborigine from Australia. And it had that, but it was built like like the wrestler Big Show. I mean, he was just massive. It was crazy. It was crazy. So I think you are right when you said that they do when they have that, that one gene, that one chromosome that we don't, it's just throwing everything off.
Yeah.
Like what the name said, the missing link. Like I've
Right.
always said, and I'm going to say it again, I believe the reason why they cannot get the male DNA is because I think it's something that we have not discovered yet. That's what I believe.
Penny Van says today 1% of humans still possess Neanderthal DNA. Well, if it's only 1% of what is it, 7.5 or 8 billion people, that's still a lot of people.
DA, I'm going to send you a picture. I can't upload it here.
Okay.
I'm going to send you a picture of a guy in Russia, and I want you to look at this and if you think, you tell me what you think and what everybody in chat thinks, because it's freaky.
You want me to upload it?
Yeah, I'm going to send it to you on Messenger.
Okay, I'm waiting for it.
So give me a minute, because I can't do it here. I got to get this whole computer thing worked out.
Somebody had a Richard Cox says Neanderthal was shorter than Cro-Magnon man. How did these things get so damn big? It's hard to say. Well, and it's not that uncommon though. When I was doing research for the new book series that I'm working on, Dark Frontiers, the area I'm setting here in the Ozark at the time, it was still firmly in the hands of the Osage Indians. And when I started researching the Osage, the average height of an Osage warrior was 6.5 to 7 feet tall.
Huh. That's nuts.
To me, that is just absolutely bizarre.
I'm going to send you. Now, the first one, you're going to know what it is once I send it to you. And then I sent you 3 others of different types of Yeti and Bigfoot on your messenger, not the link, not our.
Okay, well, here's the first one. Just looks like me with my shirt off.
But look at his look at his body and just face, and I mean, that does not look normal, man.
No, it does not. Let me get one of those others uploaded. And Anthony, you found them. I'll let you explain them. Here's this one.
Yeah, that was supposed to be pictures of Yeti, different kinds of Yeti that people counted to see.
Okay, let me get another one up there.
Now, the other ones are probably what me and Robbie can describe better, that what he's seen and I seen. Okay, the one I seen, I will tell you this. It looked like the top one, type 4, right up there.
The Relic hominid?
Yeah, almost just like that.
Mine was more like number 3.
See? And look how much it's similar. Now, the
12.
body type on mine was a 12. That's
12
what the
was
body
type.
Like he skipped leg day?
Yeah. That's what he looked like when he was standing there holding the tree.
Well, look, 11 and 12 upper body looks a whole lot alike. I couldn't see I could only see from like middle of the waist or middle of the waist up. So either 11 or 12, either one.
Yeah, like I couldn't see below his knees.
See the legs. Well, I couldn't see any legs on
eyes, but that was it.
You could take any combination of 11 and 12. I think it had more hair on its lower face, so maybe more 11 would be more. Like I said, being dark, it's kind of hard to tell what was shadow and what was hair. So it could have been either one of them, but both of them definitely looked.
What is he saying?
He says, I can see why you'd need a beard trimmer, lip gloss, and raspberry preserve. Oh, and then Northwoods, number 3 looks like my ex.
Here we go. But I'm botch.
Oh, that's already his second one.
Yeah, no, it's his third one.
Oh, it was the third? I must have missed the first
one.
one.
Oh, that's right. It says number 3. I'm catching up, Northwoods. I'm sorry, man.
Naomi says, Northwoods Cryptids, were you drunk that night?
Yeah. Not on my best day. Son for manscaping? Yeah, I don't think that commercial fits that. The manscaping buzzer. Yeah. They would be getting their product back real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird that the female DNA is human, and the male is not even on the genome on the chart. And like I said, I believe it's just something that we haven't discovered yet.
I agree.
Like what was that one movie that you had us watch and I didn't even know it was out there? Neanderthal, that one that the guy did. It looked more like an ape. DA.
Yeah.
Okay. What he said in his documentary made a lot of sense. They branched off from Asia so many times, coming to the New World across the ice bridge, that we don't even know how many types there were because we haven't
Right.
found them all, which makes sense. I mean, are you saying the mount? Yeah. I'm trying to get these questions. There it is.
Go ahead there, Anthony.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, with the DNA on the tree, yeah, it's just like I said. We don't even know. It probably hasn't even been discovered yet. One day it would. Yeah, one day they'll find it. Who knows?
Shai Dorsai says the Yeti comp drawings show some of the renditions with fang-like teeth. Is this indicative of the Yeti sightings? Bigfoot is typically described with block teeth. I've heard Bigfoot sightings where they describe them with big incisors.
Yeah, what's his name at I believe at what oh God, Nanoboss knows who I'm talking about. I can't think of his name. The guy that raises the goats over here in Florida, up in northern Florida. That's on his property. I guess they're back.
Mm-hmm.
He described them having big canines, but the front were blocky.
Ryan from Monster Radio says it depends on the area you're talking about. Bigfoot in the south are known to have canines and whatnot. Same with those in the southwest and Canada.
Donnie Miller. That's it. Thank you, Marty.
Let's say says Yeti plus just for men equals Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Just Bigfoot with a good dye job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like the one I seen, I couldn't tell if it had block teeth. I couldn't tell. I mean, it didn't smile, didn't open its mouth.
Yeah. And and also even from that kind of distance, if you were 100 yards away, it'd be very difficult to tell what kind of teeth it had. I mean, that's a very fine detail.
I know it wasn't a suit.
Just wicked powerful.
I knew it wasn't a monkey suit or a Bigfoot suit. So I can tell you that.
Country Boy Cryptids has a good point. He says, "Do you think the hikers killed in Russia were killed by Yeti or Bigfoot?" He's talking about the Dyatlov Pass. There's a lot of schools of thought on that. Some people say yes. Some people say no. Some people swear it was some sort of weird Russian experiment that they walked in on. And arguably, the evidence can point in multiple directions. Mm-hmm. But the thing is I believe the Russians know, and they're not about to say.
Well, one of them made it out. And
the Dyatlov Pass crew? No, they all died.
No, one made that. So that's what,
the one that got sick early in the.
Yeah,
he didn't make it all the way to Dyatlov with them.
He didn't make it all the way up, but mysteriously, he got questioned by, I guess it was KGB or something like that, and then he never said another word ever about that after he was
probably told to shut up about it.
Yeah, as Doc likes to say, he was told to shut up and go color.
Yeah. Eric Testament says, I know Bigfoot like beef jerky, but would he like raspberry preserves? Asking for a friend. Is your friend named Margolin by any chance?
FMM.
Val from Southwest PA says, some type of sound wave experiment. It could have been. The Russians are very closed mouth about it. There's a lot of indication that they fled for unknown reason. But they never shows why. However, we do know that some very bad mistakes were made on their part. Why did they camp in the open? Why didn't they camp in the trees that were just a few hundred yards away?
Yeah, no shelter at all.
Yeah, there was no shelter from the wind on that mountainside. Why were they staying away from the woods? And then there's that one photo that they developed from one of the cameras on the bodies that shows a dark figure leaning out on the trail. Supposedly one of them turned back and just snapped a picture behind him. And when that picture was developed, there was a very dark Now, granted, the argument could be said that it's a man leaning out behind them, leaning out of the trees behind them. Could it have been one of their own people? We don't know. Nobody survived to tell us the tale of the origin, or the story behind that picture. But allegedly, that was taken from behind them down the trail.
Yeah, I seen that. It was a black and white picture, wasn't it? That black and white one.
Oh yeah, I think all those. I don't think they had anything color at that particular
No.
juncture.
And that was back in the 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what were they doing there? What were they doing?
They were like, the pioneers of cross country, like the people that'll go up in the Himalayas and stuff like that. They were just basically survival backpackers. It's something they enjoyed doing. Sal Paso says was that there some of them were found frozen naked. None of them were wearing their cold weather gear. They fled their tent, most of them without even shoes on.
Yeah.
One lady was found with her eyes and her tongue missing, which is really kind of bizarre.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm sorry.
There's a lot of mystery surrounding the Dyatlov Pass incident. However, one of the documentaries I watched on that, and it might have been Josh Gates. I don't remember. I do watch a lot of Josh Gates. But when they went to Dyatlov Pass, they found a cave system not far behind, and they went into that cave and explored it. And way back in that cave, like 40, 50 yards back in the cave, they found this gigantic nest on the ground made of woven branches and stuff with bones in it. Yeah, that's not something a bear would make. Bears don't carry branches in and weave them together to make a nest. And then they started hearing something farther down the cave, and decided that was a good time to get the hell out of there. The Russian Yeti, especially the one in the Urals, is known to be extremely aggressive, like attacking people, attacking houses. And in that area, the Mansi, the natives that live in that area, they said Kolyat Sakal is the name of that mountain around Dyatlov Pass, and Kolyat Sakal means dead mountain. It's considered sacred by the Mansi, and they say that nothing good comes from that mountain.
Is Papa Bear right on this one? I don't know about this, but
if you could find an article on that dude, send it to me. Shoot me a message with it, because I'm not familiar with that. I had not heard that, although I did know that most of them were found either partially clothed or not wearing. No, and certainly none of them wearing any Arctic survival gear.
I haven't heard that theory either.
Lene Perkins, Miss Lene says one of the hikers kept a journal and said the snowman is real. That is really interesting.
I think that is true. I didn't remember hearing that watching the documentary.
Yeah, I know there was because that's how they pieced a lot of that together was over one of the journal, and the journal was, I don't remember that part. I mean, but they could have omitted that part for TV or whatever.
Again, the Russians are not exactly forthcoming about it.
But they did talk about they had an uneasy feeling from the time the one that got sick and went home. They kind of toyed back and forth.
It felt like something was following him in the woods.
And they
thought it was the Mansi, but the Mansi denied it.
Yeah.
Well, there's a bunch of people that live out there, right?
That's the Mansi.
Yeah, they're called the Mansi.
Yeah, and they questioned them. I know that. So I remember in the documentary they were talking.
Follow the alpha readers like you're supposed to. You would know that, Anthony.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know.
Yep.
Trust me, I know. I'm still waiting for the book to come out, with Cam.
Well, we're still working on that. I've got to call Cam this week and check up with him on a couple things. But that mountain there at Dyatlov Pass is called Kolyat Sakal. And when the local people refer to something as the mountain of the dead, there's a reason for that. It's like, oh, that's a beautiful mountain peak covered with snow. It's the mountain of the dead.
Marty's got a question. I believe hearing that too.
Yep.
Yeah, they cut their way out of the tent and fled.
Yeah, why would they do that?
Yeah, that's the part that makes no sense to me. They had to have been scared to death of something. because they didn't put on any of their cold weather gear. Some of them didn't even put on shoes. They cut their way out of the tent and fled down the mountainside. Honestly, there's forensic evidence to show that maybe something was going on that the Russians were behind, and that's why the Russians are closed mouth. But when you look at the condition of some of the bodies, the journal entry that said the snowman is real, that picture that was taken behind them, could it have been a Russian Yeti? Or more than one? And then you throw in that expedition I was talking about where they went to the Dyatlov Pass sector and they found that cave in the mountainside with that nest way back inside. That's something big. That's not something bears do. That's not something. There's no animal that you can name in the normal animal section that would make a nest big enough for two grown men to lay in.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing that would come close will be a mountain gorilla, which is pretty dang close to what we're talking about anyway.
Yeah.
443 Big Vic says, ask a Russian or a Cossack and they'll tell you to stay away from the Urals. That does not surprise me.
Well, I don't think I remember any story, not just about the thing that happened in Dyatlov Pass. I don't think I've ever heard anything positive about the Ural Mountains. Every story has got some kind of.
Naomi, if you've got that picture, go ahead and send it to me and I'll show it. Kathy Arnott says that could be why they stayed away from the trees, so they could see it coming.
Yeah,
that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
I think they forgot to leave somebody up on watch, though.
Yeah. Ryan from Monster Radio says some of the bodies were found in thawing rivers. Their tongues were gone. Yeah, there were a couple of them, I think, that were found in that condition. Marty over at Nona Boss Continuum says, what if they were hit with infrasound and they were confused? Confusion only accounts for so much. That certainly infrasound would cause confusion, but the way they left that tent was blind panic.
Yeah.
If you're in a place where the temperatures are reaching minus 40, why would you leave your tent without even shoes on?
Yeah,
they were in a blind panic. 443 Big Vic says in Chechnya they have their own cryptid that sounds like a Yeti. I will have to look into that one. Little Sai says maybe Yeti bodies will be found frozen one day. That's assuming they don't carry off their dead.
Which we're pretty sure they do.
And a lot of them say they bury their dead.
Yeah. Miss Lene's got a great point. I do remember reading this too. She says they also did autopsies on the bodies they recovered, and a few of them died from traumatic crush injuries.
Yeah.
That's absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up. I completely forgot about that. But that's very true. Some of them were crushed to death. Sorry. I've seen a documentary and the Russian investigator said it was an avalanche. Maybe.
I don't. Yeah, I've never.
That sounds like a cover story to me.
Yeah. Avalanche could explain some of the crushing injuries, but it's not going to explain the tongues being ripped out. And
did you see that one where he put it, DA? Spencer Davis. He said the same. Look, Spencer Davis.
Yeah.
They were beaten to death almost like.
Well, this comment from Richard Cox caught my attention. He says, my cousin was a bodybuilder taking HGH, which is human growth hormone, and gorilla testosterone. Testosterone. That's. He says it went from 240 pounds at 6'2" to 6'6" and 280. His head, hands, and feet grew, and he developed a thick brow ridge.
Yeah, you know what
that Dude, I would love to see pictures of that.
Pictures? You'd have to hit him with a 458 SOCOM to take his ass down.
No kidding. Eric Testerman says, could it be a white gugway? Maybe. Naomi says it's in my messenger. Let me check real quick. Oh, yeah.
Who
awesome. Thanks, Naomi. Naomi
Yeah.
sent it to me. I'll bring this picture up, let everybody take a look. This was actually a picture that was on one of the cameras from one of the people that died on Dyatlov Pass. Apparently, they said they the whole time they were traveling, they were telling people that they were saying that even in their journals that they felt like they were being followed. Well, apparently one of them turned around and took a picture back down the trail, and this is what they found.
See, that's weird. That's
And
not.
that film had to be developed. It was developed later. It wasn't developed until after they were already dead.
That is not somebody in a jacket and pants, and that does not look like somebody wearing winter gear to me.
No, it doesn't. And that area was known to be like 30, 40 below zero. So that's just not a dude out there, in jeans and a t-shirt.
No.
That's not cold weather gear. That doesn't look like a parka.
No. I mean, his arms, the film back then is not like the film we have now, so.
Oh, yeah. It was pretty low quality.
The exposure, yeah, sure. Some of the pictures are not going to look that great, but.
443 Big Vic says, sorry, the ape woman, her name was Zana. I remember reading about that. Allegedly, it was a village, I believe it was in the Urals, where they captured a what they believed was a Bigfoot. They named her Zana, kept her in a cage, and apparently they domesticated her enough that she had children by several of the members of the village.
Yeah, he would rent her out to have sex with the villagers.
Yeah.
I remember that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But she gave birth to several children, and they all looked like these, heavy brow ridged, very, very odd looking people.
They would take the baby. She had numerous babies, and the first two that she had, she took them to the river to wash them off and killed them. Didn't realize that she was doing it. So then every time she had a child, the villagers would take the child from her and raise it, because she was putting the baby in an ice freezing cold water to wash it. So that's the story that is told out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't. That was some crazy stuff too, that story. And the pictures, somebody came up with the picture. Did you see the picture that they had of her?
Yeah.
That was crazy. That she looked more ape. Like she looked like a cave woman. Like her it was just weird. I can't.
Two Shadows says Margolin must have had his razor.
Yeah.
And some peach preserves.
Northwoods is still going on about his ex. Bro, I would really like, we need to put you two on a pay-per-view boxing ring together. We'd make millions, Northwoods. We would.
Eric Testament says, sorry, I'm in and out. Didn't they say she was a Neanderthal?
Yeah.
They referred to her as a wild woman of the woods.
Yeah. They didn't know then. They didn't know exactly, but she looked like one. I agree with them. She did in that picture.
Well, throughout the Caucasus, the Urals.
What was her name
the
again?
Mountains of Zana.
Zana. I'm going to look it up and see if I can find it.
Throughout the Caucasus and the Urals, the mountainous regions of Russia, throughout Siberia, the Yeti creatures, which are sometimes referred to as the Alma or the Almasty, they're dangerous. The locals report that these things are taking livestock, taking people, but apparently it's not as big a deal because it's in Russia, because we don't hear as much about it. You've really got to kind of dig to find some of these stories.
Yeah.
Shydor Sai says Dead Mountain by Donnie Icar. I'd have to watch that. I'm gonna read that. That sounds like something.
Here it is.
Something right up my alley.
I think I found it. Okay, let's see. I think
Eric Testament says, I thought I saw a show about her, thinking that was one theory. I think that's one of the theories, but at the time, I think they simply referred to her as a wild woman of the woods. Mm-hmm. But Neanderthal makes pretty close, more close sense than just someone that went feral living out in the woods. what else was I going to say? I was going to say something else. Lost my train of thought. Sorry about that.
Let's see. I think I found it.
Okay, go for it, dude.
I believe this is it. I'm going to see if I can copy it and save it and bring it over.
Okay.
All right. Now, let me get this out of here and then close this out. All right. Now, let's see if this is it. Boy, let's see. Where is she? Why can't I find it now? I just saved it too. Oh, come on. Keep talking. I'll find it. I had it saved somewhere in here. Hold on. Where did I put it?
What are you looking for, Anthony? What picture?
Zana. I found it and I copied it, and I'm trying to pull it back up.
I was looking for a picture myself. Sorry.
I got it. Here it is. It is. Okay. Save. Open file. Yeah, we're going to put. I'm still trying to learn this computer. Sorry, guys.
No problem. Sorry, folks. Didn't mean to take too much of a delay. Another thing about that area is even the Mansi refused to go to that mountain. It's considered a sacred place. There's a memorial placed on the side of that mountain for the Dyatlov hikers, but the locals don't go there. Of course, I think I don't know that I can't say that I would want to hike anywhere near a place where it was referred to as the Dead Mountain.
Right. I agree. Why would you?
No
I mean,
kidding.
really.
I don't think I would either.
This was one of Zana's children.
Yeah.
Seems like all the pictures I've been able to find looks like
And I
they've
think
taken.
this was
There it
supposed to be
is.
her. I think that was her.
That is her.
Okay.
And then
Does everybody not see that kind of looks like the Mona Lisa with it just kind of been photoshopped to make?
I don't know, man. Maybe it was. Who knows?
Does it not, DA?
The monkey
'Cause
Mona Lisa.
I just found that and I was like, wait a minute, I'm not posting that. That looks like somebody's photoshopped the Mona Lisa to make them look like the wild woman.
This was one of her offspring, though.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they did more DNA testing from his offspring.
Yeah.
Too. And supposedly nothing, the DNA was normal. I don't believe that. Not looking like that. I'm sorry. Sorry. I just don't believe it. Do not. To me, that's a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you look like that, and no, it's not normal.
Corey Cole says I was typing the Mona Lisa when he said that.
I'm telling you, that somebody's done photoshopped.
He's probably right, Robbie.
While she had multiple children, what were the men drinking? I'm going to go with a lot of vodka.
Yeah. They would have parties in the documentary. They would have village parties, and he would
in a really isolated area.
Yeah, they would pay the farmer, and they would have intercourse with her. It was crazy. It was, I mean, really. Like that saying that we would say, not even 16 beers into it. No, sorry.
Miss Lene just sent me a really cool picture. This is worth definitely taking a look at. And this is from the Dyatlov Pass incident. Take a look at this. You can see where the tent was,
Yeah.
where they found the footprints in the snow, where the bodies were, and how far they were from Dyatlov Pass.
Now, where were those caves at?
If I remember correctly from that documentary, the caves were on the side of Koyat Sakal.
Okay.
And when they went back in that cave, and it wasn't like they went back just a few feet. It was a big cave. And they went back easily 40, 50 yards into this cave and around a corner. And up on this like rock shelf, kind of a few feet above the rest of the cave, was this big freaking nest. And it wasn't like just a bunch of crap piled together. They were like branches woven together, kind of like a gorilla does.
What is this? Pick on Anthony night or something? What's going on here?
Anthony said, "Here it is," and my PC froze.
Yes. Oh. Yeah, I mean, the documentary is worth watching.
It is a good documentary. But then, that just kind of furthers my point about the Russian Yeti. Extremely aggressive. The natives want nothing to do with the things. Unlike here in America, where you get the occasional report from a native tribe where they say they were like, like for example the Lakota, Shiyetanka means big elder brother.
Yeah.
There are tribes in the Pacific Northwest that reported that they traded with them. You don't get that from the Mansi. The Mansi are like, nope, we're out.
Yeah.
Not dealing with those things.
But I think that kind of lends to what we've talked about in the past. And, look at the harsh environment that's up there versus where,
in a much colder environment, they're going to need a much higher amount of protein to stay alive.
Yeah.
So an animal like that big is going to have to eat a lot.
So whereas down here, the Lakota would not be on the menu, up there the Mansi might have been on the menu. And could it just being different species.
Ryan from Monster Radio's got a good point. He says Russian Yeti has more in common with the Genoskwa than the patty-type Bigfoot here in the States. Yeah, I would agree with that. They're certainly far more aggressive.
This would be me too, right here with them. That's what I would get.
Now back to the Dyatlov Pass incident. Again, there's forensic evidence would suggest something traumatic happened. They can't say or the Russians just simply won't say, but they can't say with any degree of certainty what happened. But the simple fact that, what was there, 7 of them?
I believe.
I think it was 7 of them.
It was like.
No, the Dyatlov 9. I'm sorry. There were 9 of them, and I will pull up the picture I've got of them. Give me just a second.
They were all young, weren't they? In their 20s?
Oh yeah, they were all in their 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were all experienced like mountaineers too. They'd been doing these expedition hikes. They'd been doing them for years. This was not their first one.
He sent you a photo in your email, DA.
Okay, I will check that in just a second. But this is the Dyatlov 9. They were all in the same tent. They had a big tent to conserve heat. Mm-hmm. What would cause 9 people to panic, cut their way out of their tent, and flee out into sub-zero temperatures with barely anything on?
Yeah, Penny made a good point.
And then for a good chunk of them to be found with having been crushed to death.
Penny said they were all highly trained, experienced hikers. Yeah, they were.
Right.
I mean, this wasn't their first rodeo.
Right. 443 Big Vic says Baba Yaga.
I know, I just see the boogeyman.
John Wick?
Yeah, the boogeyman. That's what it meant in Russian, didn't it? The boogeyman?
Yeah, basically it's the boogeyman.
Yeah.
Yep. They explain that a little bit in the remade Hellboy.
Yeah.
You see what Miss Finn said? Look what Miss Vince said.
Someone farted in the tent.
Someone farted in the tent, so they cut their way out. Is that why? Get me out of here. Oh, God. I can't.
But imagine being that cold, like -20, -30, maybe even colder. And look on that map where their tent is at and where the bodies were found. How far is that? I mean, this is a high-end map. This is from high above. That's not, I would estimate that's not, 30, 40 yards. That's some distance.
Yeah.
Because these are mountain peaks we're looking at around it. That looks like it probably would be close, if not more than a mile. How did they survive that far?
You got
adrenaline.
Yeah.
But even then, that kind of temperature with no shoes on is going to zap your energy and nothing flat.
Yeah.
But too, another thing that, that may be where the bodies were found, but did they run all that way or were they carried?
Good point. Were they carried off, killed there, or killed somewhere else?
All right.
No, boss.
We don't know that. We know that that's a big distance from the tents to the bodies, but what we don't know is how far they actually ran from the tents to where the bodies were found.
Well, the footprints, didn't they stop in the snow?
Mm-hmm.
Or no?
Well, they were missing for, I think it was a couple of weeks before an expedition was even sent looking for them. So, tracks, Robbie will tell you, on a mountain peak like that where the wind blows all the time, 2 weeks, tracks are gone.
Tracks will be gone in a couple of days, if even that.
Shai says the report claims a kilometer distance. A kilometer is still a long way. That's half a mile.
Yeah.
Especially when you ain't got your cold weather gear on and it's 40 below.
Yeah, you'll freeze to death in minutes, seconds. So.
Monster Radio says, didn't some of the survivors show indication that they'd been climbing trees? I don't know. I'm not sure I remember that detail, but I do remember them saying that.
I think one of the guys was found next to a tree.
Or a couple of them were found under a tree.
Yeah.
Next to
under something like that. I knew something like that. But I don't remember anything about trying to climb the tree. I remember that there was something about a tree, but I think it was, like I said, I thought next to the tree, but if it was under the tree.
AJ Congan's got a point. Can the report be trusted, though? Considering it's coming out of Russia, I would say anything we're reading is highly suspect.
But it's all we got to go on, so we got to break down.
Literally all we've got to go on. 443 Big Vic says cabin fever. Now, I wouldn't think so on just one night.
No, there's too many lead ups in the the journal that they were feeling like they were being stalked, watched. So,
Monster Radio's got a good point. KGB in Russia at that time was all about cover-ups.
He's right.
Yeah, we probably will never know the real story of what happened to the Dyatlov 9.
If they were cabin fever, I don't think that those thoughts would have been as coherent as they were inside the journal.
Right. And considering the short amount of time they'd been in the tent, they'd only been in it a few hours.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and Kathy Arnott says not all of them at one time. Yeah, I can see cabin fever setting in on maybe one, but all 9? Little Cy says, was Russians who tried to create human-ape hybrids. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tried that.
Germans. They actually got it from the Germans.
Monster Radio says they'll never let us know. Let's be honest, Russia does not trust the U.S. They'll never share the whole truth with us. Forensic Mystic says the one guy that turned around, that jumped up there. So the one guy that turned around because of his health thought it was the government. It entirely could have been. Again, we don't have enough information to say what it was. But you couple the fact that some of them were missing like eyes and tongues, some of them were crushed to death, and then you've got that mysterious picture taken back down the trail, and the fact that 9 people fled a warm tent without survival equipment on in some of the harshest conditions on the planet, and ran out into the night with no shoes on. That something terrified them, something panicked them. Penny Van says each set of the bodies were in different places. 2 were found later in the spring in a river. Yeah, they were scattered. They didn't even stick together.
Which indicates that they were, like you said earlier, just in a blind panic.
Yeah. I mean, come on, they cut your way out of a tent?
Yeah. Corey Cole says maybe for the same reason so many missing people in national parks remove their clothing. I'm not entirely convinced that people that go missing in national parks are the ones removing their clothing. Penny Van says at first the local population of people were suspected of murdering the hikers since they were known to kill outsiders. I didn't read anything about the Mansi that said they killed outsiders, is that they just didn't trust them and wouldn't talk to them. That's bad.
I seen that one. Oh.
Tombstone just posted a link, says for t-shirts and other great merch, go visit daroberts.net. It's merch shop-d/daroberts.net. But in the next couple of days, I'm going to have the new design up. That's going to have the new logo, the DAX Machina logo. So if anybody's wanting a DAX shirt, we should have it up soon. And that would be, our pictures are over it, so I can't bring it up. I know what I'll do.
Yeah, Miss Finn said it is common with hypothermia. Start removing your clothing. For some reason. Who knows?
I don't remember any of the reports saying any of them actually died from hypothermia, though.
No.
It's this logo right here. We'll have this up on t-shirts here in the next few days.
Cool.
I think most of them were already dead before hypothermia had a chance to set in.
Yeah.
Especially if they were, the bodies had crush damage to them.
They were crushed. They were bruised. Looked like something beat them. They got hit with something.
Shai has a good point. Says there were allegedly missing Mansi parties in the same area at earlier time. Yeah, the Mansi do not like, one, they don't like outsiders, but two, the Mansis won't deal with Koyat Sakal because they call it the Dead Mountain. When it comes to the Yeti, the Mansis stay far away. And, hunting parties had gone missing. I'd forgotten about that, too. 443 Big Vic says, rumor from declassified KGB documents, some Spetsnaz groups did their equivalent of SEER in the Northern Caucasus. But,
he's right about that.
I can't imagine that they would be fleeing from that.
No.
If the Spetsnaz had seen a tent, well, there's no sign of, what would they be running from? Would they be running from gunfire? But there was nothing on the tent. There were no bullet holes in the tent. At least none of the pictures showed it.
Oh, boy. Some of these comments, boy, let me tell you. I can't.
What was I going to say again? Lost my train of thought. I do that all the time.
You know what would have probably helped them out there, DA?
What's that?
If they'd have had a Dark Angel medical kit.
I don't know if that would have kept them warm.
Yeah, they would have. They would have had them solar blankets with them.
There you go.
That's
might have saved their life.
Just trying to segue into a good.
Could have started a fire with some cotton swab. You never know.
It is a good moment to grab and talk about our affiliate program over at Scallywag Tactical. Doc's not with us tonight, so I'll do the shameless plug. I was a cop for the better part of 20 years. I've carried Scallywag tactical kits since
Dark Angel Medical.
Yeah. Oh my God! I've carried Dark Angel medical kits through most of my career. Just fantastic kits, folks.
Right there. Right there.
Yeah, I've got one right here on myself.
I'm not going over and picking up my big vest and bringing it over
No,
here.
I haven't
Sorry.
put this on.
Just know that I do have the same kit that Anthony's got. I've got it on my vest.
I didn't put it on my vest yet either.
We're an affiliate with Dark Angel Medical. If you use that link, I think that you have to use the link for us to get credit. Let me see if I can post the link into the chat. Tombstone, you might have to update your stuff to include this link. If you use this link right here, and I know I shortened it at a tiny URL, but if you use that link there and go to Dark Angel Medical and make your purchase, then use discount code Cryptid25 for 25% off your order. If you put in codename Wild Hunt or Team Odin in the notes, Doc will put one of the little Team Odin rockers on the med kit. So if you guys are in the market for a med kit, Dark Angel Medicals are the best in the business. And if you use it to save a life, and they've got like 158 saves now, if you use it to save a life, document it, send the kit back to them, they'll replace it for free. It's called the Kit for Life Guarantee.
I think he said last time he was 154.
Yeah, something like that.
I think he said 158. That's what I think what he said.
Yeah.
And we are also an affiliate with Scallywag Tactical. You guys have read about them in the books. You've heard us talk about them. All three of us have knives by Scallywag. Just amazing blades, fantastic. This one's called the Dew Claw. I carry this every day. I clip it to my belt right behind my firearm that I carry. I also have one of the folders on me generally most of the time. For the most part, I usually carry this one, which is the same one Anthony's got. Just an awesome blade. Holds an edge well.
They make the tiny little ones for around your neck.
And they've also got some amazing kitchen knives too. I want to get that set. If you go over to Scallywag Tactical, you can either follow that link or just go to scallywagtactical.com. Use the discount code DARoberts10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order. And that includes on the blades that are on sale. That's the scratched and blemished blades. Nothing wrong with any of the blemished blades I've ever bought. They're absolutely perfect. The only thing that was wrong was the box they came in might have been crushed a little. But all the blades were perfect. So head over to Scallywag Tactical, use discount code DARoberts10. And don't forget to show some love over Dark Angel Medical and use discount code Cryptid25.
Miss Finn wants me to demonstrate how sharp the knives are and then use the Dark Angel.
Yeah. I'm not going to do that again. I was messing around with one night, like cutting hair off my arm, and took a chunk out of my arm. I was like, holy crap. Shai Dorsai says apparently the original government investigator at Dyatlov resigned mid-investigation. That's good. That's an interesting fact. He was probably told to suppress evidence, and he wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah. My internet keeps going in and out, and I have no idea why when I reset everything. It's got to be that. Got to be messing with it tonight.
My internet's working fine. It's my brain that keeps going in and out.
Gotta be. I could see it when it starts going low. I could see the little bar on top drop down, and then I haven't froze up yet, but that's how long it took me to get back when I had it.
So far, it's been pretty solid.
Yeah. I'm like, man, this thing keeps buzzing in and out on me. What?
Update on speaking of Dyatlov Pass, update on the book, codename Wild Hunt, Death and Dyatlov Pass. I finished the run through with the editing software last night, and that was a chore in and of itself. I've got the professional version of Grammarly, and I almost 2,000 errors I had to fix, and most of it was just wrong word choice and placing comma here and there. But sometimes I had to go back and rewrite an entire paragraph. But that's all done. So now it's got one more round of edits. I'm going to send it back to the alphas and let them tear it apart. and I'm going to go back over it myself looking for errors. But we should have release details sometime later this week.
Yeah, John was reading the rest of it last night, I guess, that you finished up. So
What do you think of it?
he loved it. He could I walked out and he was still going at it. I mean, I got up to go to the bathroom and he was still in there about 4:30 in the morning, still going at it. I was like, on his computer. I was like, "You didn't go to bed yet?" He goes, "No, I can't stop reading." I'm like, "Oh,
Well, that sounds good if you can't stop reading.
yeah,
So, any of the alphas that are listening, I'll be putting the completed one that Grammarly finished into the alpha group probably when the show goes off. Tear it apart. Look for errors. Look for anything. Anything you find needs to be fixed. Find it, because Grammarly is exhausted itself, and literally it took me 3 days to go through all the Grammarly suggestions. Shaitor Sai says, I once handled a 600-year-old katana and didn't realize it until later. I had paper cuts. I didn't feel it at the time of handling. I've got a knife that's like that just will slice you without you even know you touched it. It's a push dagger I keep inside my vest, in my vest pocket. God dang, that thing is sharp.
yeah." I got that one here by Scallywag.
Mm-hmm. Peggy Cole says, you were talking the other day about cattle mutilations, missing eyes and tongues. What about the girl that was missing eyes and tongues? Apparently in South America, where we're getting a lot of cattle mutilations, they're getting people mutilated in the same way.
Yeah,
Cauterized cuts, missing the same parts, the genitalia, tongues and eyes. That's happening to people in South America more than it's happening to cattle. Here in the U.S., it's mostly cattle, but it's really bizarre that that's happening to humans. Down in some of the jungle countries of South America. Eric Sisman says, Werewolf DA just grinned and said, it will leave a wicked scar. The chicks will dig it. Yeah, Kathy Arnott says, those poor people. Yeah, and it's not like one or two. There are dozens and dozens of these accounts coming in of people that are being found mutilated, no blood, cauterized wounds, just like on the cattle. Coin 777 says Colombian neckties. Not quite.
no, worse.
Wolf says, hurry up, DA. I've been reading Max Hawthorne's fish stories. Yeah, hopefully we'll have release information on that. Did I show you guys the cover?
No, I haven't seen it.
Well,
yeah, you did send it in the chat one time, but it was the first draft of it. So
there we go.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I haven't seen that one. Yeah, that's bad. That's nice, man.
So that one will. That is the final cover. We've already approved the cover. The only thing I'm waiting on cover is the spine width. The spine has to be measured by the page number. You can't determine spine width until you have final page count.
Yeah.
But I should have final page count. Well, what is today? Wednesday. I should have final page count.
that
Probably
scene
by the
looked
show
familiar.
on Saturday. Do what?
I said that scene looked familiar though.
This one?
Uh-huh.
Why do you say that?
Just for some reason looks like just a familiar scene.
Why is that you out front walking point?
That looks like a scene that me and Margolin were in. I'm not saying it is, but it sure does look like it.
Well, shall we say inspired by?
There you go.
There you go. Inspired by.
Robbie, you've read the current one. You're one of the alpha readers. What do you think of it?
I think it's great. I think when I first started reading it and how many characters you got in it and how big it is, I was like, I hope he is not, tore off too much. I hope he's not bitten off more than he could chew. I really hope he's going. But as it started progressing and you started putting more stuff in there, I'm like, Oh my god! But there again, you tied everything in.
It's coming in a little heavy.
Yeah,
Most of the other books have been around 70,000 words. This one's just shy of 80.
but you kept the story flowing, which, like, I'll be honest, I was wondering how you were going to do that, because I've read so many books where they'll get into one story and then they'll start adding too many elements, and then pretty soon you've lost track of what the actual story is, and then you're like, well, what was I reading again? But I
I think
like
it
the way
was the biggest ensemble cast I've done.
yeah, definitely, because
But I think they needed it. The story
yeah,
called for it.
I mean, really, honestly, there was only one or two of your main characters from all the series that was not there. And I mean, they were mentioned. All your characters, with the exception maybe Wiley. I don't think he was mentioned in it, but with the
No, he
exception
didn't get
of
mentioned.
Wiley, every main character was at least mentioned, which is. And yes, Miss Lene, I'm in there by name.
And as is our certain little pit bull there.
By
Yep.
name and by
Yeah,
call
you're in
sign.
it.
I know. Oh, I know. I know. Speaking of Robbie and me, we might as well just tell everyone DA is not going to be making the conference down in Ocala, but me and Robbie will be there to support. He has some stuff come up that he needs to take care of with his family, so we'll be there, me and Robbie, and I don't know, probably camp out, right, man? You're going to be here for a while, so we're going to head out to the Ocala Forest area. It's going to be me and him kicking it, probably some other people overnight, and do our little investigation out there by the bombing range area and have some fun. So we'll see. We'll see that, but me and Robbie will definitely be there at the conference. And we'll throw DA up on video chat with everybody. Just have him there,
That would be awesome.
But yeah. Doc, we don't know about, right? Doc is still in limbo.
Well, Doc was good, but we just don't know if the fact that we're not all going to be there is going to change it or not. So we just got to wait and find out for sure from Doc himself.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. 443 Big Vic says, "Nah, drop them off from a Soviet area Antonov and a couple of BTRs, and they'll be fine." Funny you should mention those.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Ha 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 ha. See what you started, Robbie, with the crayon shit?
What? What are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about? Yeah.
Somebody told me Pitbull. There were crayons at the out.
Two Shadow says, "Reading Lost Legion on the second book, digging it. That is awesome. Thank you." Miss Lene says, "Anthony and Robbie will have faces to put with the names when it's released. Can't wait."
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm trying to catch up on this.
Shai says there's no snowmobile in the scene. Yeah, that happened in the second book. The snowmobiles haven't made a return.
Yeah,
no snowmobiles this time.
No angry snowmobile.
When to go to indiscretions.
Yeah.
No angry snowmobile adult time in this one.
That would have been a good one to have, like the shirts that we wanted to do. What was it? I'm not even going to mention it on live air, but the shirts that we were talking about putting those little sayings on.
Yeah, those would be some pretty good shirts. I know Doc would wear it.
Oh yeah.
I think Eric Testerman's given God, what's the movie about the bugs in space? Starship Troopers.
Oh yeah.
Starship Troopers reference.
Yeah.
Oh. Nuke them, Rico.
Or aliens. Yeah, nuke the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. Um, and it's kind of appropriate that book finished up right. Well, Robbie was the one that suggested it, but we did a Yeti show just as that book finishes up because the Yeti feature prominently in this book.
Mm-hmm.
Man, broke clocks right twice a day.
Do what?
I said a broke clock's right twice a day.
The old joke, even a blind pig finds an acorn once in a while.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
God dang it, I lost my train of thought again. I've been doing that a lot today. Next book's up on the agenda. I'm going to be finishing up because I'm about 30,000 words in already, so I might as well finish it up. I'm going to be finishing up the first of the fantasy series. It's going to be called Heart of Iron, the first book of the Blood and Redemption series. And I've already started groundbreaking kind of work, doing the research and pulling it for the first book of Dark Frontier. It's going to be called First Hunt. And it's set in 1865, just as the Civil War's ending. It's about we lost Anthony. Just bloop, gone.
Somebody must roll a crayon across the floor. Sorry, I can't help it.
Henri. But Dark Frontier First Hunt is going to be about a character who, right at the end of the Civil War, winds up hunting monsters. Not necessarily by choice, but he ends up being a monster hunter in the 1860s. So I'm doing a lot of research on that right now. I've gotten tons of research pulled on it. Got a couple of books on weapons of the era I've been studying pretty closely. Got a couple of people pulling some other sections of research, but I will probably start putting words to paper on that.
Johnny said something on. We recorded a couple of our shows last night, and one of our shows about the Tennessee Wild Man. Yeah. There was some stuff about General Bragg and having some. So that's right around that same time frame you're talking about.
Well,
so,
there are cryptid stories coming out of the Civil War. Miss Naoma could back me up on this one. She'll know more about it. It happened at the Battle of Chickamauga, what they call Old Green Eyes.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that one.
There are stories that it's the ghost of somebody who lost their head to a cannon, who's wandering in the battlefield looking for his body. And then there are other stories where Old Green Eyes was something that was coming out and dragging bodies off.
What year did the Civil War end?
1865.
And this because Bragg was apparently still doing some stuff, and I think the main sightings of the Tennessee Wild Man started in like 1877. I think was what we talked about, and there was some General Bragg and some of his guys had some run-ins with some cryptids. Johnny was talking about it last night. I was like, I kind of perked up when he started talking about it. I was like, ooh. Because that's the first thing I thought of was
if you can find some references on that, shoot that over to me. There's a couple of things about that era that Cam Buckner did a story that was supposedly from that time frame. I'm going to ask Cam about that because it was told from a point of view of a Civil War soldier who was rescued from the battlefield by a Bigfoot and nursed back to health.
Yeah, I think I remember that one.
That was a pretty good one. 443 Big Vic says, wasn't Green Eyes in Gettysburg? I'm 99.9% certain that it was at Chickamauga. Miss Naoma, can you fact check that for me? She says, I met a man at a conference in October who was supposed to send me more information on Old Green Eyes. He hasn't yet, but I sure wish he would. Was that at Chickamauga or was it
Chickamauga? I just looked it up.
Okay. Old Green Eyes. I thought it was at Chickamauga.
Yeah, a beast with green eyes, glowing eyes, is claimed to have been haunted the land long before the arrival of the Civil War. After the Battle of Chickamauga, come on, open up. That was just like the little. Okay, this ties into some of the because this is around Tennessee too. So this ties into what I was talking about that Johnny was talking about last night. Now, it does have Gettysburg mentioned in here, the Battle of Gettysburg, but Chickamauga was where they first
mentioned Green Eyes.
Yeah.
And there was another one from the Civil War, some from that era. Again, Miss Naomi, if you're listening in on this, what year was Werewolf Springs? The incident that around Werewolf Springs where the guy and his manservant were attacked and killed. If Miss Naomi, if you've got the information on the history around Werewolf Springs, I would be much appreciative if you could shoot that to me. Not for the show, not for show right now, but for me to research for later, because I might find a way to tie it into the new book series. But I think Green Eyes may have to feature in the book in Dark Frontiers.
And the thing with the Tennessee Wild Man that we kind of hit on this last night. The descriptions, all the descriptions of it are a little bit different. So it's almost like they've one sighting they describe more what sounded like a Gugway. The other one kind of sort of Patty Gimlin type. There's one in there sounded like the Genosqua. Another one sounded like they actually said it smelled like the skunk ape. So there's like 4 or 5 different types that they were describing in there. But I think one of them did say something about glowing eyes. I don't remember what color.
Well, if you can find those references, brother, please send them to me.
Norman had the thing printed out. He either took them or I forgot it in the truck. If I do, I'll get it for you.
Okay, yeah, shoot me a copy of that somehow. Papa Bear, I got some great ideas from you the last time when I wrote that Will Gray Eagle story about the Barmanu. Shoot me a message. I might want to pick your brain about some of the areas around Chickamauga. Naomi says, I'll send you all I have on Werewolf Springs. It happened in the late 1860s, early 1870s. That's right around about the right time frame.
Yep.
Miss Lene says, Elijah Henderson did a podcast on Werewolf Springs. I will have to catch that one. I used to watch a lot more podcasts than I do, but with my writing schedule and having my own show, I don't get to watch near as many. I get, someone will send me a link and go, hey, watch this podcast. Or I get emails from people saying, hey, watch this podcast. And I would love to say I watched them all, but if I did, if I watched every podcast link I got sent, that's literally all I would get done. I try to watch as many of them as I can, but unfortunately, my time is limited between having a family, writing books, doing promotional work on the books, working on the show, pulling research for the show, researching for the books. I could stay busy 18 hours a day and probably still not catch up. Shy Dorsai says there are cryptid stories from World War I and II. Guadalcanal and New Guinea. I'd love to hear about those. Kathy Onette says there's a lot of stories on that on Google. I will pull on that. I'll work on that as well. Let's see here. Sorry, I just got an alert that I had a text. Okay, well, it wasn't relevant. Country Boy says, DA, I got an idea for a book, but having trouble getting to paper. Dude, shoot me a message. If I can help, I will. I mean, I'm not exactly Stephen King, but I'm, a lot farther along on the journey than I was 10 years ago. Miss Naomi says, I feel your pain. I got a long list of podcasts I want to watch, but I can't find the time. Back when I was only writing part-time and working full-time as a cop on overnight shifts, Robbie will tell you, on overnight shifts when there's nothing going on, yeah, I listened to a crap ton of podcasts back then. But now that I write full-time, yeah, it's tough to find time to do to watch as many podcasts as I once did. Miss Naomi says, if you do a show on Werewolf Springs, I'd love to be a part of it. Well, let's do one then. Let's do a show on Werewolf Springs. I already got the show for this Saturday planned out. We're going to be doing kind of an international Dogman show. I've got guests coming on from Australia and England. Tombstone is in the chat tonight. He's going to be one of the guests talking about Dogman in Australia. So we're going to have guests from Australia and England talking about Dogman sightings in their area and in their research. So look for Saturday being a truly international Dogman show. But maybe, Leon's one of them, Miss Naomi.
That'd be a good thing for next Wednesday then.
Yeah, how about next Wednesday we do Werewolf Springs then, Miss Naoma? Love to have you.
How about that? A show we're not going to have to plan like 2 hours before. What are
Oh
the
my
odds of
God,
that?
we got a show planned a week in advance. How did that happen?
Because
I'll get those shows set up here. Well, I got to get the one for Saturday set up too.
I
I'll
don't
get
know
those
if
set up probably tonight or tomorrow and get the links out to the folks in various parts of the world, and then I'll set up the one for next Wednesday for Werewolf Springs. So there we go. Will do, Miss Naoma. She says, I'll be there. Just shoot me a reminder earlier in the day. I'll send you the link probably the day of, and then send you the link to the studio when we're ready to start going live. Yeah, go ahead and email me your Werewolf Spring stuff, and I'll pull some of my own, and we'll see what all we can find, because it's a fascinating story. And I will see if I can squeeze in and watch Elijah Henderson's show on that to see what information he had. Elijah Henderson does some great research. Um, yeah, he's an interesting guy. I met him at the Dogman conference, and got to talking to him, and he gave me a little. It's about this tall. It's carved out of wood. It's a picture of the Patterson Gimlin Bigfoot, the way it's walking. It's carved out of wood and stained. It's hanging from the rearview mirror of my car. It goes everywhere with me.
so. I guess back to our original topic. We didn't get really that bad off topic, but
Not too bad. We're still talking cryptids. We just
Yeah.
Switch cryptids.
yeah. The abominable snowman.
hmm
Do we feel like that's totally different from the Yeti? A different name? Do we feel like it's kind of like Gugway versus Skunk Ape versus, or
I
what's
think
your
the
take on
abominable
that?
snowman is just another name for the Yeti, personally.
Because, and I hate to even really bring this movie up because it's a good B movie. I love it. We've talked about it before, but Abominable.
It is a good movie, but there's some cheesy parts. But
Oh yes,
that
it
final
is.
scene at the end, primo.
But yeah, it definitely leaves up. And right there towards the end, you can make an argument for it being a Gugway because
True.
it definitely lives up to that name. Literally, not figuratively. Literally, if you hadn't seen the movie, go watch it. It's a good. And it is what
It is worth watching.
It is a cheesy B movie.
Good night, Miss Naoma.
But
Sorry, saying good night to Naoma.
yeah, I was just it's just one of those things that you got to watch it for what it is. You can't expect any kind of.
You kind of get that with any Bigfoot movie. There's really, I can't really name a single big budget production Bigfoot movie. Most of them are all low budget to no budget.
Yeah. The most famous Bigfoot movie other than Legend of Boggy Creek is going to be Harry and the Hendersons. Yeah, Country Boy, you'll watch it. It'll be if you like those kind of cheesy movies, you'll like that.
Robert D says one of the later Mummy movies had 3 in it. I think. Yeah, the third Mummy, Curse of the Dragon Emperor, had Yeti in it, and I think that's what this is based off of. That's kind of what they looked like.
Yeah, the picture you put up earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I started to say it, but we got off on something else. That was what the Yeti was supposed to look like from that movie.
Eric Testament says, what continents have the Yeti been on? I was looking for some in Iceland, but no luck. From what I can tell, Yeti are kind of limited to Asia, because when you look at the descriptions of the Alma, the Almasti, and the Yeren, they're all basically the same creature, but from various parts of Asia and the mountain ranges. So I think they're, considering the land bridge and how we think that Bigfoot might have gotten here the same way the Native Americans did across the land bridge during the Ice Age, it's entirely possible that the original Yeti are like the genetic predecessors to the modern Sasquatch, because they've also said that some of the I want to say it's Mount Rainier in Washington, where if you get up toward the top, you see the ones you see are more Yeti-like, more white in color, more aggressive. So I can't say that Yeti are exclusive to Asia, but I would say that anything on the Eurasian continent is probably going to be very similar.
Well, and that's something I guess we really hadn't touched on it, which I know you said you had to bow out for just a second, but that's something we hadn't really touched on is how much difference is there between Yeti and a Bigfoot? I watched some little show on YouTube. I can't remember what it was, but it was Cryptid Battle Royal or something like that. I can't remember if that was actually the name of it, but basically it was like taking all the assets and attributes that people have claimed that Bigfoot has. Same thing with the Yeti, and basically did almost like that. Remember that show, The Deadliest Warrior?
Mm-hmm.
Almost like a simulation like that to see who would win. And I think out of 1,000 battles or whatever, and the Bigfoot actually won the fight or something. How different is a Yeti just a Bigfoot that's
more conditioned to just brutal cold temperatures? Maybe.
Yeah.
Hey, I will be right back, folks. I'm going to leave Robbie in charge for here just a moment. I have got to step across the hall.
That's a scary thought, folks, that I'm in charge now. But yeah, I don't know how y'all feel in the chats, but we've got plenty of different types of bears, different types of elephants that live on different continents and are adapted to different types of areas. Is a Yeti just a Bigfoot that's highly adapted to cold, like a polar bear is in the bear family? What do y'all think in the comments? Let's see. Kathy says they have different bills, it seems. True, but if you start looking and breaking down stuff like the Gugway and the Genoskwa, they're both very different in their bills too. The Genoska is a lot taller and a lot more heavily built. So I wouldn't say that different builds would necessarily disqualify them from being. Obviously they're in the same species, but what I'm saying is what do y'all think it's the same thing? Like the Patty Gimlin versus the Genoskwa being a Bigfoot Sasquatch type creature. Is it in that same family? Let's see. Depends on what crayons they eat, Robert. Yeah. Well, that's if they're the pit bull type, which he just sent a message. He's trying to get back in. So hopefully there's DA back. So feel better?
Thank you, brother.
No problem.
Full on code yellow emergency.
We were just continuing the discussion about, some people brought up some good points about their builds being different, which true, but a Genoskwa and a Gugway have different builds also. So
true. Mainly the big differences between Genoska and Gugway is that's now the Gugway have. They're both described as big and very, very aggressive. Whew.
Anthony just sent a message saying he's trying to get everything back together and get back on.
His internet's been squirrely lately.
Yeah.
Miss Lenny says foxes in the north have smaller ears and longer fur. Foxes in the south have bigger ears and shorter fur. So yeah, I believe different attributes. Yeah. Just regional adaptations. If you look at the black bear from the East Coast and the black bear from the West Coast, they're the same species, but they have very different structures. uh, and it's all dietary and
African
regional
elephants and Indian
adaptation.
elephants. Look at the difference in the size of their ears, and I think the tusks are even different. The complete size of the elephant's different too.
Yeah.
So I mean, grizzly bears and polar bears.
Robert D says the more north, the more you go north, the bigger the animals tend to get. Yeah,
That's true.
takes a lot of body heat to stay alive in that kind of that harsh environment. I forgot to ask earlier. I'll put that back up. What did y'all in chat think of that? I kind of wanted to get everybody's opinion, what you guys think of the cover. So folks, if you don't mind, let me know in the comments what you guys think of this cover.
Well,
I'm
I
pretty
like it.
happy with it. I'm pretty happy with it. The dude out front's clearly tracking something.
That could be old scalp hunter out there, couldn't it?
It could be. Papa Bear likes it.
Yep. Kathy said she loves it. Kathy Arnott.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Miss Lene
Yep.
likes it.
Yep, Miss
Thank
Lene
you, Miss
loves it.
Lene. Looks like the consensus is people like it.
Yep, Eric Tesmer said he loved it. 44-3 Big Vic says it's beautiful.
Bear says, but screw the snow as a soldier and trying to move tactically.
That's true. Little Patty says she thinks it's cool. I bet it is in the situation they're in.
Robert D says Dogman standing on top of the rocks would be good. Unfortunately, there are no Dogman in this story, unless you count Micah and the crew.
Yeah, but they're not
Well,
technically Dogmen.
they're not Dogmen though. They're on the good side.
But I mean, I love it. When you popped it up, I was like, "Oh, I like that."
I'm pretty pleased with it. Adam did a really good job. South says, so the Gugway are considered more aggressive than Bigfoot, then the Yeti could be more aggressive than the Gugway. It's entirely possible. I mean, the Gugway tend to come from an environment where they have harsh winters. The Yeti come from an environment where it's harsh all the time. The Himalayas are snow-capped year-round. Most of the Urals and the Caucasus Mountains, all snow-capped year-round. So these things are coming from an area where the environment is continually harsh. Good catch. That's what we like to call foreshadowing.
Yeah, that. And I bet them two birds on the rocks have names too.
I bet they do. Eric Testament says we'll have to change the dating, saying if it's raining we're training, to if it's snowing we're going. It does seem that the wild hunt crew does get involved in cold weather environments a lot.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
Argentina wasn't cold weather, but
no, but 1 out of 3 or 4 have been cold weather.
The next wild hunt is going to take place entirely underwater.
And it's cold down deep.
Yes, it is.
So 1 of 4 have been cold weather conditions.
Robert D.
Yep.
Very
interesting.
Mitch Hayward says is the name of the book Bloody Rocks. No, it's Death and Dyatlov Pass. Codename Wild Hunt, Death and Dyatlov. I'll throw that up there one more time. I hope you guys can actually read the back cover because it looks like it might be a little grainy. Margolin was in Argentina. He just showed up late. Eric Tristan says, change it to if it's cold, you're bold. I like that.
Yeah, a good one.
There's something I was going to say. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, when you read this book, when you get to the last 2 chapters, it's already setting up for the underwater one. Luis Noriega says it does get cold in the southern part of Argentina. Yeah, where they were at was at the southern tip of the Andes. And yeah, it gets very cold where they were at. Fortunately, they were there in the summertime.
Yep.
Go ahead, Robbie. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say there was a certain person in that book, in the Argentina book, that was probably used to cold weather.
Yeah. Two Shadow says, any update on Gray Eagle situation? I have to read the book. We're setting up for that too. Sal says, is Team Orion and Vindicator in the new book? Vindicator is long story. If you read the short story Operation Lily and other stories about Steve Lilly, what was left of Orion Team 2 got folded into Team Odin. So Vindicator's sticking around. I just like the character.
Yep, she's pretty much going to be the new XO. Isn't that the plan?
Yeah.
And that was something that I do like, the way the little hitch that you threw in with Nate and Captain Olivetti.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice. I like that.
I like the character of Nate Murdoch. He's fun to have around.
To me, Nate he's your average everyday, really good supervisor, really good officer that you would never expect that would be in this situation, but he keeps surprising you how good he does in those situations. That when I read about Nate, that's what I get from that character, is that he's kind of in an overwhelming situation, and
he showed up first. That character first showed up in a short story called The Recruits. And it's, if you're a member of the Patreon, it's on there. I believe it's also in the Operation Lily and other stories. Pretty sure that I put it in there as well. But if you've read that short story, you'll see the first appearance of Nate Murdoch. Eric Testament says, remember, you can burn plastic explosives to heat yourself and your food.
Yeah, because it won't ignite it.
True. Challen Balga says, you need an explosive specialist. He would make a great buddy to Margolin. Margolin is continuing to grow. When I first introduced that character, he was just going to be kind of like the group shithead. But he's an evolving character. So Margolin gets his chance to really kind of shine in this one.
He does. He does a good job in this one.
Sal Pathos remembers the story. Says you got to bring back Matches and his brother. I've already got plans for that. Matches and his brother. Matches and Jedediah Bowie. The Bridgers, yeah. Matches and Jedediah Bridger are coming back.
No, you're right. It's
Bowie. Yeah.
Yeah, Bowie is their last name, but Bridger is one of their first names, right? Because he was named after Jim Bridger.
Yeah.
Or Jedediah Bridger and then Jim Bowie.
Yeah.
I'll get it in a minute. Yeah.
But those two brothers are coming back. I've already got plans to bring them back. They're going to show up.
Answer me this.
Shoot.
Were those two brothers based on Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen from Red Dawn?
Yeah, kind of.
I knew it. I knew they had to be, because when the line that you said when he was talking about he was named because of that, I was like, that's Patrick Swayze's line in Red Dawn. He's got to have based them on that. I've been meaning to ask you about that, and I keep forgetting about it. And we talking about, I was like, I'm gonna ask him.
I throw subtle stuff in there like that just dying for when people catch it. I love throwing little things in like that to see who finds it. Lene says she loved the brothers. Yeah, they are definitely going to be back. Eric Testament says Margolin is the man. He's my hero. Margolin gets a lot of screen time in this new book.
He does.
Embrace the Stuck does show up. But yeah, I think got a chance to really kind of let some of the secondary characters shine a little bit in this book. I'm pretty happy with the way this one's turned out. It's like Robbie was saying, it's a much bigger cast of characters, and it was a kind of a challenge for me to keep everybody in the picture. But I think I think it worked, and at the end of the day, I think the ensemble cast of characters, I think its story couldn't have really been told without them.
Yeah, you write these books like Kevin Feige directed, and I know he wasn't the director, but you know what I mean. Well, he orchestrated, I guess is the better word, all these Marvel movies. You started out with Iron Man, and then you brought Captain America, and then you brought Thor in, and you had all these movies that had these bigger characters, and then you bring them all together for this one big ensemble cast. Everybody's like, how is that going to work? And then look how Avengers worked out. I mean, it was one of the biggest movies of the time up until then. And that's kind of how you had to juggle it. But I would submit that it's harder to write something like that out than it is to direct a movie like that.
It takes a lot more. When I write, I have a lot of notes. Some of them are on the computer, some of them are written out longhand, and I've got I know I can't show it to you, but I've got a setup on my desk where I've got a main screen here, another screen here, and another screen here, and then I've got desk platforms right here. So I'll have notes up on one screen, music up on another screen, what I'm writing on the main screen, and then notes kind of scattered around me. Eric Testament says Margolin reminds me a lot of me. There was a lot of me in Margolin when I was 19 and in the Army. Two Shadows says Ragnarok Rising is an outstanding series. Thank you so much, man.
Very good.
443 Big Vic says we all know a Margolin, even if it's yourself. Lil Patty says Grey Eagle's her favorite character. Grey Eagle is not gone. Grey Eagle is just caught up in something, and yeah, there's plans in place for that as well.
Grey Eagle's a really strong character.
I love Will Grey Eagle. He's fun to write.
From the very first time I read about him was the short story with the Barmanu, but the first Apex Predator book that I read about him, I was like, man, this guy, this is a really in-depth character. I mean, he's got there's just a lot of layers to Will. He's, here he is, he's a cop, but he's got all this, I guess, inner turmoil. Is that a good, because he did have a lot of inner turmoil in that first book. A lot of the, kind of like in Yellowstone, the way some of them were talking about the First Nation tribe rights, and Will, you felt like he bought into that, but he was also a police officer, so he couldn't. I think that was a lot of where his turmoil came from, is he being in the military and being a law enforcement officer. He had sworn to uphold the law, and whether he disagreed with it or agreed with it was not the issue. And you and I have done that. I can't tell you how many times I've told people, hey, I don't write the law, I just enforce it, which is kind of a cop-out, pardon the pun, a cop-out way of saying, yeah, this might be a crappy thing, but
my hands are tied.
Yeah, my hands are tied. All I can do is enforce what's on the books. And I kind of felt like Will was that way for a lot of things. He had to kind of enforce some things that he might have disagreed with.
Mm-hmm.
And once he left that's when his character just took off. And you just saw that growth that he had. And he's a fun character to read. I'm sure he's fun to write, like you said, but he's really a fun character to read.
Papa Bear says Margolin is every career Army E4 or career Marine E3.
That's 100% accurate.
Margolin is largely based off my uncle. My uncle made E5 like 9 times. Every time he would start to get close to making E6, he'd get into a fight or get into trouble and get busted back down. 443 Big Vic says, she loves Valkyrie's quote, can we change his code name to Dumbass?
I love that quote.
Well, there's more. There's more along the Margolin Valkyrie interplay. More of that shows up in this book.
Yeah. But there's some Margolin comedy, but there's also some Margolin growth too.
Yeah, Margolin's still a smartass, but he's coming along.
Yeah. Apparently, there's a new smartass in the group.
A little bit, yeah. Wouldn't
Don't
know
know who that would be.
Wouldn't know who the title of King Bonehead would be now, would you?
No idea. Gideon knows. You can ask him. He'll tell you.
Gideon will flat out point it out. There's some stuff with Gideon's history, and it gets pointed out in this too.
There's a smack in the face that gets pointed out. It's what it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff revealed in this book. For an 80,000 page book, a lot happens.
But it didn't feel like it. I was like, come on. There's got to be more. Come on. It didn't feel like it was that long once you got into it.
When he says we're dangling a carrot in front of her. I will do my best to try to get that book out. I would, if we can get everything done with the alphas and find, because I've got like 12 people that are going to pour over this thing as soon as I send it out tonight. 12 sets of eyes, a dozen sets of eyes, we should be able to find all the errors that Grammarly missed. And Grammarly generally doesn't miss many. But we got, this will be the 4th round of edits. So by the time we clear round 4, I'm pretty confident that the book is going to be pretty polished. So if we can get that done, I would look for maybe a Monday, Tuesday release.
It's not meanness, Lene. We're just trying to make sure you are ready for it and that y'all want to see it.
Yeah. Papa Bear says Gideon's my favorite, and his history and my vision of his past just blows my mind. Gideon's a fun character, but the character of Davidson is also one of those characters. There's a lot of mystery behind him, and you get a much bigger glimpse into Davidson's past than this one.
Yeah, because you hadn't really hit a whole lot. The Steve Lilly short story is when you first started kind of scratching a little bit of that, and as they like to say, they're dangling that carrot. But yeah, this book you really start seeing, and I still ain't figured him out yet, so I'm not gonna say anything but I got some ideas. I really have some ideas.
Spencer Davis says the only thing I don't like about the Wild Hunt books is that there aren't any warrant officers, although as a retired warrant officer I may be biased. Character of Noah Davidson, the one I just mentioned, is a warrant officer. Sal Paso says in Operation Lily, when they were discussing Arizona, were they discussing the story with the Nightmare Hunter? Yes, they were. When they talk about Arizona, that's exactly what they're talking about. Talking about the incident that involved the
having Hunter. To redraw the topographical map was Arizona.
Yeah, some seriously heavy ordnance were brought into play.
Yep. That seriously rearranged the landscape.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a one-off.
We won't give away that. Don't worry, we won't give away Gideon's backstory. You'll have to get there.
Nope. Because I wanted to smack everybody in the face like it did me.
Exactly.
But I get Nightmare Hunter. That was more like a one. I mean, I know he showed up in other books, but that was more like a one-off on that one, wasn't it? Or do you have any more plans on
Nightmare Hunter? Yeah, the next one's going to be called Curse of the Rougarou.
So I would assume that takes place before certain other things? Or is it one of them things that you never know?
You're just going to have to see.
I
don't want to let the cat out of the bag.
See, I'm in the dark on this one too, just like y'all are.
Corey Cole says, DA, I would love to hear you audio narrate your characters. I like Cam doing most of the books. Probably going to have Doc do some of them as well. But I'm thinking about trying my hand at Man's Marauders. But I'm not sure I've got good enough soundproofing to do the sound quality I need. You can hear background noises in my house, even on my audio. I was doing an interview a couple of nights back, and they could hear my wife and son having a conversation in the living room. Hey, my lieutenant's on. Hey, LT. He says, Will's my favorite character, not for the obvious reasons. Gideon's also very good. Really like their backgrounds. Grandfather reminds me of my uncle Kenny, who was my role model. James Jenkins, my old lieutenant, he actually owns the car that I based Will's Charger off of. He owns that 69 Charger.
Very good car.
It is a beautiful car. 4043 Big Vic required the creation of a new topographical map. Yes, it did. Eric says, "You know my theory. You can't wait to find out. I don't want to give it away." However, if you guys are a member of the Patreon community, the first chapter of the new book, Death and Dyatlov, is up. I posted it a couple months back. But the first chapter of Death and Dyatlov is on the Patreon, along with a couple of new short stories that have not been released anywhere.
Is Demons on? Would they get Demons on there too, or
Demons is on there?
That's a good story.
But as is that one you read about the two cops in Moon Valley.
Yes,
that one's on there. It's nowhere else yet.
I still want you to try to do something with that. I think that is a very good story in the making right there.
Those characters will come back. Those characters are definitely coming back. Shy Dorsai had a question. I don't want to answer that question. I'd rather you found out on your own. So, kudos for you. That's a good obscure one to pull out of your hat. But you'll just have to read it. And the actual Gideon backstory is not even revealed in Codename Wild Hunt. It's in book 4 of Apex Predator where it gets revealed. So all of these series are interconnected. Lene wants to know about Demons Part 2. Look for Demons Part 2. Let me get the edits done and get back to Demons and the other projects, because I can do short stories on the side as I'm writing other projects. I will spend as much time in here in my office as I can until my back starts hurting too bad to sit in this desk, and then I switch projects and go sit with my laptop in my recliner. So yeah, I work on those projects in my recliner. So maybe tonight I'll get to work on once I get cracking on Demons. It's only going to take me a few days to knock it out. Mrs. Chef Yoda, why am I not getting notifications? You going live? Go to the YouTube. If you're not getting notifications, the bell icon, turn the notifications off and then turn them back on. Sometimes that works. I don't understand why YouTube does that. And a weird thing also, if you're watching the show, double check to make sure you're still subscribed, because for some strange reason, once in a while, YouTube unsubscribes people from channels.
They
Papa
do that
Bear
a
says,
lot.
need another. Yeah, a lot of channels are getting hit harder than us. Papa Bear says, need another side story for Ragnarok Rising to go with Last Girl Standing. I've got a second Ragnarok series in the works. I've been developing it for a while. And it's kind of a side project at the moment, but at some point it's going to get moved to the front burner. It's called Wastelands of Ragnarok, and it picks up a few years after the end of the Ragnarok series. So there will be more Ragnarok stuff coming. 443 Big Vic says, I wonder how much Agent Blue cried after Clark got a hold of him. Well, Clark laid him out. We know that. Looking to see if I missed any questions. The game that they were working on, based on the books, they've decided to go a slightly different direction with, so it's not based on the books anymore. They wanted to go a different direction, and it, nothing, no bad blood or anything like that. They just wanted to go a slightly different direction, and that's fine. I still wish them the best. They're still working on it. In fact, I was just talking to Josh earlier today, but I need to get Josh back on the show, have him come out and hang out and chat with us. But yeah, they are still working on the game. It's just not going to be based on the books anymore. Eric Tishman, so I feel you, Day. It's hard to work on due to my back and the fact that I got to be up early in the morning. Yeah, I don't get to sleep as much as most people because of my back. But hopefully that after that third treatment, that may be a thing of the past for a while. Eric Tishman says, I like to see your books and movies. You and me both, man. You and me both. I would love to see the books made into movies or picked up by like a first series, like by HBO or Amazon or Netflix.
Y'all don't know how many conversations we've had about that before and after the shows, talking about who we think would make good stars for the characters.
Oh yeah,
we've had several of those conversations.
Quite a few of those conversations. Dude, we're well over 2 hours now.
Yeah, 2 hours and 15 minutes. We're still got 119 people viewing. We're doing good.
Not too bad. Never heard back from Doc. Anthony's still having internet issues. Jessica's in the house. Cryptid Hunters. Hi, Jessica. How are you doing? Jessica. Before we wrap up, you guys got any questions about any of the books or anything like that? Anything you would like to see? I know Miss Lene is helping me on on a project for the new series. She's doing some research on horses for me for the Dark Frontiers book, and I'm still in the process of creating background characters for that as well. Sal says, I'd love to have a SOCOM 458 with a grenade launcher and Clark's P-51. You and me both, man. You and me both. After watching what the production cast did on the Netflix series, The Terminal List with Chris Pratt, fantastic series if you guys hadn't. Jack Carr, amazing writer. They also did really good with the one based on Jack Reacher, the Jack Reacher series. Alan Rickman.
No, well, I don't know. Alan Rickman.
Alan Richardson.
Yeah, I was about to say Alan Rickman died, but
yeah,
he may have been in some of.
Alan Richardson. That dude was perfect for Jack Reacher. Those two series kind of restored my faith in what Netflix was capable of. I would like to see Chris Pratt from
the Terminal
List play Clark. I think he would, the way he played that, the way he learned actual military tactics, from the way he played that series, I would love to see Chris Pratt play Daniel Clark. Little Patty says, you're going to do anything else with Steve Lilly? I have 3 more stories already planned for Steve Lilly. One's going to be a Lakeview Man series involving Steve Lilly. Another's going to be an Apex Predator series. And then I've got a Codename Wild Hunt that's going to involve Steve Lilly. And at some point, one of those stories, Matches and Jedediah are going to show back up. Or they might just get a story of their own. I really like those characters. So at some point, they may show up in a book series and keep them around. Jenkins says, I don't understand the books haven't been made into movies or a series, but I worry about the budget hurting the stories, wishing for a good production company to do them right. You and me both. I would love to see them picked up by the same production company that did Terminal List. Oh, those would be so action-packed.
Yep.
Kathy Arnott says, how many books do you have out? At the moment, 27. As soon as I get the edits done, it'll be 28. Mrs. Chef Yoda said, have you pitched any of your books to studios yet? I've reached out to, I've had a few people send me like, hey, you can contact Lionsgate Film at this. I've reached out to several things, haven't heard back from any of them. So it may just be that they're not taking unsolicited story ideas from people without an agent. I don't have an agent at the moment. However, if anybody's good at pretending to be an agent, I might have to have you make some contacts for me. I need to hire an agent at some point. Right now, I just can't afford it. Robert Forster says, sorry, bedtime. Good night. Well, good night, man.
Night, Robert.
That's a good question for you. Who do you think you'd want to play Gideon?
I think we talked about this one time, didn't we? Didn't we say Sam Elliott?
Sam Elliott, if you look at him in that 1893 series, he is looking old. Sam Elliott 10 years ago, yeah, but Sam Elliott now, love the guy to death, but he is looking really old.
But I can see Sam Elliott.
A younger Sam Elliott, yeah.
I mean,
Papa Bear says Kurt Russell. That'd be a good one too. Kurt Russell could play Gideon. Spencer says Jason Statham. Kind of the wrong kind of character for Jason Statham, but I could see Jason Statham playing Davidson.
Yeah. And, we talked about Henry Cavill as Clark one time, but I think you're right. I think Chris Pratt might make a better Clark.
I think Cavill would do good as Saunders.
Yeah. I could see that.
GK says, how about a chronology for the books? I have one. I have a timeline for the books on my website. It's just daroberts.net/timeline. I've got to update that for the newest book that's about to drop, but the timeline is on there. And what I'm also going to do from now on is I'm going to put a timeline in the back of the books. So the new book coming out will have an updated timeline in the back of it.
Russell, Two Shadows, you talking about Russell Crowe for Gideon, or?
If you saw Russell Crowe on the latest Thor movie, he kind of let himself go. He's a little portly to be playing Gideon. Yeah. Not that I've got any room to talk, but I am not trying to play him. AJ says Tom Selleck for Gideon. I could kind of see that. Maybe.
Yeah, I can probably see that. When I think Gideon, I think Sam Elliott and We Were Soldiers. That to me,
Sam Elliott and We Were Soldiers would have been perfect.
That's Gideon. When I read that character,
and you call me Grandpa, I'll kill you.
Morning, Sergeant Mate. How you know what kind of morning it is?
Tell me what kind of carpet. I loved him. Kathy Arnott says Channing Tatum would be a good one to play. Who do you think? Who would you think for Channing Tatum? I think having what's his name? Guy played Deadpool.
Oh, Ryan Reynolds.
I think having him play Margolin would be a little too on the nose.
Yeah. He would be a good Margolin, though, because he's got that same type of
smart ass
humor and that same kind of smart ass that would. Yeah, I can see him doing it, but you're right. It would be a little nose.
Sal says, is Davidson Irish? He's British. Kathy Arnott says Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash is who?
Yeah, I don't know who Big Sexy could play.
Kodiak.
I mean, he doesn't really look like a Native American, but
true, he doesn't really look. I mean, Kevin's getting a little old too.
Yeah. Nash, and plus, ever since his son died, he's kind of bowed out of just about everything. He's not even really doing any meet and greets or any of that kind of anything right now. Which, I mean, I can't blame the guy, but
yeah. Kathy Arnott says as the LT. Oh yeah, Channing Tatum as Murdoch. I can see that.
Yeah,
I think Channing Tatum could pull off a Murdoch.
No, what we talked. I had the same thing about Gideon when we talked about Sam Elliott, and we both agreed on a substitute to put Sam Elliott at. Sergeant Major Hammond.
Yeah, CSM Hammond.
I see him playing Gideon, but at the age he's at right now, I see him. I can see him playing CSM Hammond.
AJ Condon says Kelly Riley for Valkyrie. I'm not even sure who she is. Let me look up a Google search on her. Kelly Riley. Oh, she's the lady from Tombstone. Little old for Valkyrie. Valkyrie's like in her late 20s.
Yeah,
Yeah, she plays Beth Dutton.
yeah, that's right. You know who I think would be a good Valkyrie is Gina Carano, because she has now dyed her hair blonde for that last movie she was in. You know what I'm talking about, the fighter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She was just in a movie with Cowboy Cerrone, Donald Cerrone, which he did a good job. He might be like he might even could be a Margolin, because he's got a dry sense of humor. He can
Parkland's
be
is not so dry. He's just a smartass.
well, yeah, but I could see Donald Cerrone playing that, but I think I could see Gina Carano play, because she's done real good in any military type role that she played in. She was very believable in Haywire as a special forces operator.
GK says Jason Momoa is Kodiak. I don't think Jason Momoa is big enough. I don't think he's even quite 6 foot tall.
He's 6'4", I think.
He's
6'4",
6'4".
yeah.
Maybe Kodiak is
Because
probably almost 7 feet tall.
Look at him
now,
in Justice
now
League.
Momoa playing Micah, I could see that.
Yeah, in the Justice League, he's almost as tall as Henry Cavill, and Cavill's what 6'5", I think.
Mm-hmm, I think so. But Jason Momoa as Micah,
that would be good. I can see him playing.
Werewolf 674 says, I see Jason Statham for Clark when I read. That's interesting. I had somebody told me they envisioned The Rock when they talked about when they read Clark. And well, I thought it was neat because I love to see these characters through other people's eyes. I like to see who they envision when they think of these characters. But Clark, in my mind, Clark's not that big. He's built more like a runner. Most special forces guys aren't massive dudes. Most of them are built for endurance, and Clark's built like a long distance runner.
That's why I think Chris Pratt makes a better choice than that. He's not. I mean, he's in good shape, but he's not like like say Chris Evans for Captain America and Chris Hemsworth for Thor. You look at them. Chris Pratt was in good shape, but he was not Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth size. He was just in good shape. They were like statues.
Yeah. Tombstone says Taylor Maine for Kodiak. Isn't he the guy that played Sabretooth in the first Wolverine movie?
It's Tyler Maine, but yes,
Tyler
he
Maine.
played Saber. He played Michael Myers in Rob Zombie's movie. He's about 6'7".
Yeah, he's a big dude, but he doesn't look Native American at all.
No, he was a professional wrestler.
But I guess they can do a lot with makeup.
Yeah.
I love these suggestions.
If he wasn't so old, Sonny Landham would be good in one of those roles. He would be good for Will Grey Eagle. How old is Will supposed to be?
Will, the thing about it is once Will changed, Will would have been in his 40s. Yeah. He's retired military. He retired from the Army after 20-some years and became a cop. So I always pictured Will to be in his mid-40s when I first created the character. But after he became the Alpha Wolf, he looks like he's in his 20s.
Yeah, because Sonny Landham would be a good, because, that dude's in good shape, or he was. I hadn't seen him in a while.
I would like to see Lou Diamond Phillips play Grandpa.
That would be a good one, but
grandfather Jay Matoska.
God, I had his name in my head just a second ago. He was he was perfect. Like, I'll think of it in a minute. But anyway, it would have been, you'd have been like, yes, if you'd seen it. That's gonna drive me up the wall now. But yeah, Lou Diamond Phillips would make a good grandpa or grandfather.
Spencer Davis says, I picture Jason Statham as Gideon because I picture him as what he originally was from his backstory. I can see that kind of, but I kind of figure Jason Statham is still he plays leading guy roles. He's still a pretty spry badass. I always kind of pictured Gideon to be kind of like like graying at the temples, kind of scruffy, um,
I think
looking like he was starting to show his age a little.
I think Statham would be more suited for Davidson, like you said.
Papa Bear says, I see Wes Studi. Wes Studi is Grandpa's Jay Matoska. That is
That
about perfect.
yes,
I love Wes Studi. He would be perfect. That's a great one, Papa Bear.
yep. That's not the one I was thinking of, but I think that's better than the one I was thinking of.
GK says Jason Momoa 6'4" and Henry Cavill 6'1".
Well, I knew Momoa was 6'4", but I thought Cavill was 6'5". But maybe I don't know. Maybe they just made him look taller since he was playing Superman.
There we go. Challen Bog has hit it. Jeremy Renner is Gideon.
Well, we don't know if he's going to be able to walk right anymore. But
yeah, but had it not been for that,
I think he'd make a better Gideon than he would Clark.
Clark,
because the way he played the Ronin character after the snap, that I've lost everybody, I've watched everybody I've loved die. That's perfect for Gideon because he's had to watch everybody he's loved die throughout the year. And the way Jeremy Renner played that character in the Avengers, I think that's perfect for that.
Two Shadows says Graham Greene. He's another good choice.
That's a good, yeah.
Kathy Arnott says Will Sampson. Not sure who he is.
That's who I was thinking of, Will Sampson.
Or who?
For Grandfather.
I'm not sure I know who he is. Kelly Marie says, what about Russell Means as Grandpa? Russell Means or Wes Studi, I think, would probably be spot on for Grandpa. Graham Greene would be another good choice. I mean, I wouldn't turn him down.
Will Sampson was the guy. You remember the movie Orca?
Yes.
He was Humalak.
Oh, okay. I will look him up real quick. Google Images. God, I love Google image searches.
I think he's already dead, though.
Oh, well, That's unfortunate.
Yeah, never mind. But the look that he's got.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about now. Yeah. Unfortunately, he did pass away. That's too bad. You know who else would be a good Clark? This is kind of who I pictured for quite a while. Clint Eastwood's son, Scott.
Yeah, we talked about that. I agree with you. He would make
Scott Eastwood is a good actor. In certain directions, looks just like his dad. I mean, you see him at a certain angle, and you're like, oh my God, that's just young Clint Eastwood. Sal Paso says Marina Squarciati for Valkyrie. I need to look her up. Don't know who that is.
I don't either.
Marina. I can see that. I can see her playing Valkyrie. She'd have to dye her hair blonde. If she was Katie Sackhoff would pull it off, but she's also a little old for Valkyrie.
But she still looks really, really good.
Yeah, I love Katie Sackhoff. She's a fantastic actress. And she kind of looks the part how I envision Valkyrie in my head.
Well, and she was a sniper in the Riddick movie that she was in. She was a sniper.
Big Vic says Francesca Eastwood is Valkyrie. Let me look her up. I'm spelling that right. Oh, yeah. She kind of looks the part. Hoping if she's I don't know how. I don't think I've ever seen her in anything. but she kind of looks the part. Mitch Habert says, who would play Steve Lilly if that was made into a movie? Unfortunately, Steve Lilly's not my character, so I couldn't really, I could have a few guesses of my own, but
Mila Jovovich, maybe 5-10 years ago might would have made a good Valkyrie. Right now though, I don't think she's. What do you think?
maybe. I mean, I can still see that. Maybe she does do an action scene pretty well. My thing is most action scenes they do in Hollywood, the thing I find most unbelievable is like the remake of Charlie's Angels, where you've got a girl who's basically 90 pounds soaking wet, throwing linebackers around like they weigh nothing. I'm like, yeah, I don't know, that's just not convincing.
Yep.
But you get like Gina Carano in an action scene, you're like, holy crap. And she fought MMA. I mean, she could easily kick somebody's ass.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to fight her. But the Hollywood trope of casting these little 90-pound soaking wet actresses and then have them throwing NFL linebackers around like they weigh nothing, just it destroys the credibility. You just can't believe it. However, the scenes with Scarlett Johansson where she does that like leg scissors and flips them, totally believable because that would work.
Yep.
Big Vic says Larry the Cable Guy is Steve Lilly. That's funny.
Yep. Mic drop. There you go. That's Steve Lilly. But just because you said Scarlett Johansson, that made me think she would be a good Shield maiden.
Yeah. I can see that.
And think about Michelle Rodriguez as Amanda.
Maybe on that one. I was kind of thinking. I had somebody in mind. I can't remember who it is. Well, at least slipped my mind.
The attitude that you wrote, Amanda, that I can just see, Letty from Fast and Furious, that attitude she had.
Yeah.
That says Amanda to me, the way she played that.
I can kind of see that.
She's got the look for it too. Who else would be a good one? Margolin, just the perfect guy for Margolin just came into my head. Remember A Knight's Tale?
Mm-hmm.
With Heath Ledger and all.
Mm-hmm.
The redheaded guy. He played Tucker and Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. Alan Tudyk. Alan
Tudyk's a great actor.
Yes.
I'd love to have him. But you know who I always pictured when I finally looked her up? Who I pictured when I thought of Amanda? The actress that played Ziva on NCIS.
Oh,
Cody.
Yeah. I can see her face, but I can't think of it.
I know her name. I cannot think of it.
Yeah, because a girl.
Cody DePablo. That was it.
Yeah, a girl I worked with named her daughter Ziva after her.
Yeah, Cody DePablo, I think, is her name. Yeah, that's kind of who I had in mind when I thought of Amanda. Two Shadow says Ronda Rousey is Vindicator. Wouldn't work. Vindicator is of Asian descent. Her last name is Nguyen, Nguyen. Ronda Rousey's a pretty good one though. I mean, Rousey might play Valkyrie. She certainly pack a punch for it.
If Vindicator is of Asian descent, Michelle Watterson, the karate hottie.
I don't know who that is. Let me look her up. What was her last name?
Watterson.
I could see that. Yeah,
I mean,
because I described Vindicator as being built more like a dancer than a fighter.
But she was a karate fighter and a karate point fighter before she got into. So she was not the typical MMA fighter.
Yeah.
Also, I tell you, you know who Misha Tate is?
No.
Look up Misha Tate and then tell me who you think she would play. See if we're thinking the same thing.
How do you spell Misha?
MEISHA.
I spelled it wrong. We popped it up anyway. I don't know. Who were you thinking for her?
Nobody stands out.
Maybe Amanda.
Yeah, Amanda. I was thinking Cassie.
Cassie's a blonde though.
Well.
Yes, Shane over at West Coast is right. Vindicator's Vietnamese. His last name pronounced Win.
Then how are we not? What's her name from the Marvel movies? God, I just had it. She was on the TV show.
Papa Bear's got a good one. Margot Robbie is Cassie. I can see that.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Bob?
For Vindicator. She was on the Marvel TV show, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But she also played Chun-Li in that crappy Street Fighter movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad movie.
Yeah.
It did have Raul Julia in it, though. I liked him.
Yeah.
What was her name? Is it?
No, it's not. Well, Lucy Liu, but that's not who I'm thinking of. But Lucy Liu wouldn't be bad. But I think.
Did she play May?
Yes. Ming Na Wen.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Agent May.
I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she would make an awesome Vindicator.
Yes,
The way I picture Vindicator, she's probably in her early to mid 30s, and she looks about the right age.
Well, she's probably older than that, but she takes really good care of herself. So I can see her really.
Yeah, I can see her playing Vindicator totally.
Ming Na Wen, Papa Bear.
443 Big Vic says Lucy Liu for Vindicator. I could see that too. I could definitely see that. Eric Tessner says, I'm trying to remember the guy that was in Dancing with Wolves as the grandfather. Was that Graham Greene?
Yeah, that's Graham Greene.
I thought it was. Yeah, I think you hit it on the head there. I think she would be awesome as Ming Na Wen. I think she'd be awesome as Vindicator.
Yep. Well, as soon as he said Vietnamese, I was just like, but her name just flew out of my brain.
Colonel Boudreaux, who's in charge of the Midwest division that Team Odin's on, I kind of saw him in my mind as God dang it, I can't think of his name. Seeing his face, cannot think of his name. Played Heimdall in Thor.
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba. Yeah, that's kind of who I thought for Colonel Boudreaux.
I can see that. And General Dalton. and it's gonna be kind of funny, but you know who I see? Eric Roberts.
Eric Roberts is from Georgia. Normally, he's from Athens, Georgia, so I bet he could do that southern drawl.
Yeah, and I don't know why, but I just see Eric Roberts for General Dalton.
I can kind of see that.
Let's see. We said on Sam Elliott for CSM Hammond, right?
I can definitely see CSM Hammond.
What about Levi? We hadn't talked about him yet.
Saunders?
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned Cavill for him.
Oh, okay, that's you did say Levi. I'm sorry, I forgot. Is he really that right age frame to play that? Or how much? What's the big age difference between Clark and Levi?
Levi's probably 6 or 7 years older than Clark.
Okay, so that wouldn't be that bad.
I picture Clark to be by book times about 34. He's one of those guys that did 10 or 12 years in the military and was like, nope, I'm out. I'm not staying.
Yeah.
After the events that led up to him getting a certain medal in Kandahar, he just walked away. He was done. George Jennings says, wow, 2 guys got arrested for faking Sasquatch tracks in Hagerstown, Maryland. GK says J.K. Simmons is Dalton. It's General Dalton. I'm going to look him up. I don't know who that is.
From the new Batman movies.
Okay.
Yeah. The guy from the commercials.
Oh, yeah, he would be great.
And he also played J. Jonah Jameson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the Spider-Man movies. Yeah.
Kathy Arnott says Mark Harmon for General Dalton. That's another possibility. Yeah. Mark's about the right age.
Yeah, and he plays that authority figure well, like he did in CSI.
Yeah, and I can see him basically DeNozo slapping Clark in the head in this book when Clark shoots his mouth off.
Shut up, rookie.
You know what scene I'm talking about is at the beginning of the book when Clark's basically starting an argument with the other guys.
Yep. Be quiet, rookie.
Yeah, shut up, Clark. Man, we're coming up on 3 hours and we're just sitting here talking about the books. That's awesome. Little Patty says Michael Spears as Gray Eagle. I want to see who he is. I can see that. Yeah, I can see him playing Gray Eagle. I'll just share the screen and let you see him.
All right.
I don't want to share the screen very long because I don't want to get a copyright strike, but we'll share the screen for about 10 seconds so you can get a look.
All right.
Oops. I was trying to take that off and took you off. 443 Big Vic says David Paulides is a disposable background actor. Papa Bear says, okay, I'm old and done for the night. Great show tonight. I'll email you later, DA. Yeah, let me know, dude. Have a good night, brother.
Papa Bear.
Oh, there's another good actor I hadn't thought about, Gerard Butler. How about Gerard Butler as Gideon?
I think Eric hit it. That's perfect.
Oh, Eric, that is dead perfect. I think Gerard Butler as Gideon is dead on.
That's perfect. I think that's
perfect casting right there.
And playing the way he played Leonidas in 300.
Oh, yes.
That same swagger, but also those same mannerisms because that's the age he's from originally.
Kelly Marie says, not sure if anyone mentioned to play the General Stephen Lang. He's the guy from Avatar.
Yeah. Stephen Lang's been in everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can see him being General Dalton.
Yeah.
From the end of Nightmare Hunter. I
Yeah.
can see him marching into the president's office and getting the Secretary of the Interior fired.
You feel
Miss
like it's
Lene
dead?
says she's calling tonight. She's
Hi,
speaking
Miss
of time.
Lene.
I'm tapping out. Pray God will bless and keep all you safe till we meet again. Miss Lene, thank you so much. Thank you for everything you do, and thank you for your help with the research on the horses. Uh, Mitch Hubert says James Bobo Fay is a Gugway.
I
Yeah,
like it.
I think between Gerard Butler and Stephen Lang, we've got Gideon and the General wrapped up.
Yeah.
Those are like perfect choices.
And I think Chris Pratt and Henry Cavill are perfect for Levi and Clark.
I'm still torn between Chris Pratt and Scott Eastwood for Clark though.
I think either one of them would play it really well. I think that they would just bring out different elements, but I think either one of those would be good.
Maybe Chris Pratt as Clark and Scott Eastwood as God dang it, Murdoch.
Yeah, because they're friends anyway. So
Yeah. Gene Ellsworth says Grace Park is Vindicator. I'm not even sure who Grace Park is.
Grace Park. I think I know who that is, but let me look it up.
Oh, she played Cho on Hawaii Five-0.
Yes.
Dude, I can totally see that. She's awesome and can do a fight scene.
Yeah. I guess
I can see that.
It really just depends on
Not Cho Kono.
How you want her portrayed. You want her to look a little bit younger, or do you want her to look a little bit more seasoned? If you want her to look a bit younger, she'd be great. If you want her to look a little bit more seasoned, then Ming Na Wen would be great.
Well,
So
I like that actress. We'd have to find a spot for her because I kind of think Ming Na Wen was the best choice for Vindicator because she's got that more seasoned look. 43 Big Vic says Alan Richardson as Caduceus. Alan Richardson's a big son of a gun. I don't think Caduceus is that big.
I'm sure Norm will thank you for that one.
Yeah, Norm would be thrilled to death for that one. But I can see Alan Richardson being put in there somewhere. Not sure where. We'd have to find a spot, but I could see him playing somebody. I like that actor. Very good actor. Folks, we're hitting close to the 3rd hour mark. I could sit here and talk about casting the books for hours. Maybe we should just do a show one night, where we just sit and fantasy cast. We'll make a list of the characters and have some possibilities, and we'll talk about it and see who everybody likes. Just kind of fantasy cast. We might do fantasy cast Lakeview Man series one night, and then Apex Predator series another night, and that kind of thing. That would be a hoot and a half and a lot of fun. And it is a great way to kind of showcase the books once in a while.
Yep.
But hope you guys will join us on Saturday night. We've got the International Dogman show. We're going to have Tombstone, who's in the chat, one of our own moderators. Tomb's going to be on. Another guy named John Kershaw from Australia will be on, as well as Leon Howarth, who's been on the show before from England, is going to be on. So we're going to have an international cast, and we'll talk about their Dogman research in different parts of the world, and find out some of the new stuff they've been working on, because they've all got good channels. Go check out Leon Howarth's channel, Do It Noel's Way. Great channel, great Dogman content from England. I'd have to find John Kershaw's channel. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I'll have those posted in the links for the show on Saturday night. And then a week from tonight, on the following Wednesday, join us with when Miss Neoma joins us, and we're going to be discussing the history of Werewolf Springs, and that's going to be a lot of fun too. So John Matusak came to mind more than once. John Matusak would have been awesome. Unfortunately, John Matusak passed away. Him and a lot of those big Raiders dudes, Lyle Alzado, those guys hit the steroids pretty hard and paid the price for it. But Matusak would have been a good one.
Well, Lyle Alzado had a chemistry set up in his basement. Yeah. He was making his own stuff.
West Coast Shane said Creepers cryptid. DA. What do you mean? Did I miss a comment?
I don't
I'm
know.
not seeing anything by Creepers Cryptid. Did it not come through? Sometimes the comments that get posted on sometimes the comments that get posted like on Facebook don't show up in our feed here on StreamYard for some reason. And even if it happens with YouTube sometimes. Sometimes somebody will post a comment and for some reason it just does not show up here on StreamYard. I was having both the
I think
YouTube stream.
he's saying that's John Kershaw's channel. DA.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Creepers Cryptid. That's right. John Kershaw's channel is Creepers Cryptid. Creepers Cryptids. Yeah, that's John. Thank you, Shane. But yeah, sometimes it doesn't matter what you're on. I used to have both YouTube and StreamYard going at the same time, but I started having issues with my browser trying to crash on me. So I stopped having. I tried to not have as many tabs open anymore because it overtasks the computer for some stupid reason, but it seems to work out that way. But yeah, we hope you guys will join us on Saturday when we've got the International Dogman show, and then again next Wednesday when we're going to be doing Werewolf Springs. Shane, if you want to jump in on that Dogman show, let me know. We'd love to have you. But don't forget to check out our affiliate links over at Scallywag Tactical and Dark Angel Medical. Use discount code DA Roberts 10 at Scallywag Tactical for 10% off your order, and discount code Cryptid 25 for 25% off your order over at Dark Angel Medical. So hope you guys will be with us this Saturday and again on next Wednesday. I want to appreciate each and every one of you guys for the subscribers, for the followers, for all the people that have been members of the channel for so long. We appreciate each and every one of you. Big thank you to all the moderators who do an awesome job. Moderators do a great job keeping the chat going and making sure we don't get any of them spam bots anymore. And a big shout out to all the people over at the Patreon community. The patrons, your support really helps fuel the DA verse. There's going to be a lot more content over there on the Patreon community. There's already some short stories and the first chapter of the book that's not released yet are all available right now for reading over on the Patreon community. So go over and check that out at the Patreon community. It's patreon.com/DA Roberts author. The support of the patrons really does help a lot. So again, thank you guys. Thank you to each and every one of you guys. Thank the members of the channel, the mods, the patrons. You guys are awesome. And thank you all for spending an evening with us. We managed to stay on topic for part of the show. But I had a good time talking about the books. And it puts a smile on my face to know how many of y'all really enjoy the books. And I'm in my heart of hearts, I'm just a farm kid from Route 3, Lebanon, Missouri. I grew up, in an area we didn't have TV. We had maybe 3 channels on a good day. I can still remember clearly when we got our first color TV. And so I didn't watch a lot of TV growing up. I spent a lot of time with my head in the book, and I knew I wanted to be a writer way back then. And I want to appreciate you. I want to let you guys know how much I appreciate each and every one of you for making this journey possible. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I will always say it. We don't have fans. We have friends. Welcome to the DAX Maka Nation. We appreciate it. All of you folks. You guys are like family. We love you guys very much and appreciate everything you do for us. And we want to continue to keep this channel growing and going alive. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe. All the likes on the videos helps it get further into the YouTube algorithm, so it shows up in more searches. And the more subscribers we get, obviously, we'll get into more of the algorithms there as well. So share the content with your friends that like this kind of material. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. You're helping to continue this channel grow. Like I always say, stories are journeys that we take together, and I want to thank each and every one of you for taking that journey with us. We've come a hell of a long way in 10 years, and let's see where the next 10 take us. So good night, everybody. God bless each and every one of you. Make sure you keep Miss Lene in your prayers. Her health is improving, but she's still got a little ways to go. So keep Miss Lene in your prayers. Say a prayer for Toom and his family. They're going through some things. Again, not my place to say, but just keep him in your prayers. Also, Pat Kennedy, who's in the chat quite often, she's having some health issues as well. So keep her in mind. Appreciate the prayers of everybody for my procedure yesterday, where I had to get the shots in my back. I'm going to have to do it twice more. But if it works out the way it's supposed to, the way it looks like it's gonna, I may be free of pain meds for the next couple of years. So keep your fingers crossed, say a prayer for me, and hope all this works out. Because I don't like taking meds. I hate taking anything that makes me loopy. For me to be pain free for a couple of years would be freaking amazing. So again, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for spending time with us. Robbie, brother, thanks for hanging with me. Sorry, Anthony's internet was crapping out. But we will see you guys on Saturday night. And again, thank you to everybody who's been with us, especially to all you guys who've been with us since there was like 2 people watching this at night. But the audience continues to grow. We're always seeing new faces in the crowd, and we are so grateful for each and every one of you. So hope you guys have a wonderful week. Enjoy the rest of your week. We will see you guys on Saturday night, again, when we will have an international ensemble for the Dogman show, and I think it's going to be a hell of a good time. So thank you guys for spending your time with us. Thank each and every one of you. God bless each and every one of you and keep you guys safe, and we look forward to seeing you again. So good night, everybody.
Not.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAX Machina. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.